Okay, great. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Dr. Arjun Bhai's Astrology channel and potentially couples channel. We have a great thing today. We have entire Prime team back together again for this great video. So of course, you can see UG has rejoined us. So it's a great treat for us as far as knowledge of Jyotisha is concerned. So today we'll be talking about the Mrigashira Nakshatra. Of course, I'll request EUG to start with a prayer and then we'll proceed ahead with Aditya's talk action. So, EUG, you can take over on your end. I think you're on mute, EUG. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, may I share my screen?
Yeah, you can click on. Yeah.
Okay, as you see here, I'm gonna open today from one verse from the Shiva Panchakshara Nakshatra Mala Stotram by Adi Shankaracharya. So each one of these verses is for one of the nakshatras, and each one is divided into four for the padas. Okay, so I'm just going to speak it and then I'll do a prayer. As Vyomakesha Divya Bhavya Rupate Namah Shivaya Hema Medhini Dharendra Chapate Namah Shivaya Nama Matra Dagda Sarva Papate Namah Shivaya Kamanaikatana Hriddurapate Namah Shivaya. नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरन्धकाय त्रिकालाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय शङ्कराय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय।
Great. Thank you for that wonderful prayer, EUG. Now I would request Aditya to take up and start with sharing. Go ahead, please, Aditya. Go ahead. Thank you.
Mrigashira, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good for a long time. Uh, wishing everyone a happy Diwali. Diwali is coming soon. Just remembered about the sweets of Diwali. So, Mrigashira, we came a long way. We started from Ashlesha, entire thing going to Mrigashira. Almost what? 17 till 2024, 7.5 years. Oh, almost 7.5. Sade Sati is over. Shani Sade Sati. Anyway, so talking about Mrigashira, Mrigashira is where is the nakshatra? It's fall half in the Taurus part and half in the Gemini part, and it is what it falls in the natural second and the third house of the chart of the Kalpurusha chart. Mrigashira, what when you say Mrigashira, it's a very dear nakshatra to me, not DEAR, dear nakshatra, because it was the first, like when I started doing astronomy, it was the first constellation which I identified. Like it was the first thing to note in the sky. It's such an easy constellation to find in the sky. And through that, and then I was able to locate the other constellation. So this was my first constellation. So somehow it's very dear to me. And if you see in Mrigashira, the two parts fall in Taurus, the other two parts fall in Gemini, second and third house. So what, just by knowing the houses of the chart, you can say that the house themes are like wealth, family resources, the taste that's connected to the second house. The third house is friends, hobbies, writing, patience, courage, the throat region. So getting a general feeling of Mrigashira will be involving with all these themes. And then we will see how what planets fall into this and how things are and how it modifies those themes and so forth. The symbol of this nakshatra is deer's head. Everyone knows deer, you know. So just having a look at the deer, this animal symbol is deer. What when we see a deer, what are the themes that comes into the mind? It's like, okay, deer is a very timid. They are always going roaming here and there, jumping from one spot to the other, moving in a very nice green lush area, gazing, always. And I still remember when I was in Montana, there will be like flock of deers coming there, and then they would like to eat apples and all, and then they just want to eat those apples. And it's not just one; they're like having their own family, the younger ones, the mother, and all those. And very timid animal, always going here and there. You don't see that much in India. When I was in, of course, I was born and brought up in Bombay, and when I saw first time deer in US, it is much more frequent to see. And I was just having one day my observation night and coming back after observing the observing session at 2 o'clock in the night, and this deer is just standing at the side of the road, and I was afraid. Oh my God, what is this animal? But I think the deer was more afraid of me. He just ran away seeing me. But they always like run away, correct? So that's when you see a deer, what are the qualities? Running away, very timid, like to be into very nice spots, enjoying with their family, very family oriented animal with their younger ones and all. And you could see all those spotted fawns, like spotted deers. I think when the deer is a small baby, you could see the spots, and the spots later disappear as time goes. So this a family of deer used to always come near my house back in Montana, and I could see, oh, this one young spotted deer. And as time went by, the spots becomes, I think they fade away, and then they just disappear after some time. Anyway, so Mrigashira qualities associate Mrigashira Nakshatra with the deer symbols, the qualities of deer, and you will get many themes associated with it. Family oriented. What is family oriented? Which house? Immediately second house. Where does Mrigashira falls? Second house, natural second house. Okay, very family oriented and they like to roam around, go around, enjoy the fruits, having a party time always. I don't know whether they like sweets or not, but yeah, then they will always eat all the fruits. The deity of this nakshatra is Chandra. Chandra is again Chandra. It's interesting to see that Chandra's uh, cart is again the main animal is the deer there. Now, if you see the Chandra, there is a lot of names for Chandra. Is definitely the moon god, and very different names of Chandra exist in the literature. Like different names of Chandra. Soma is distill. Somaras. Distill. People associate it with alcohol. I don't know how much true that is. Somaras is really alcohol or not. I don't know. Um, but Soma, that drink, the special drink, which I don't know what it is. The Indu, the bright drop, Indu. Hmm. I don't know. Sandeep may be knowing. There was one song in Malayalam which based on Hindu.
Right. Yeah, there's an old song, yes.
Then Atri Sutta. Rishi Atri, Sutta, son of Atri. So he's also the son of Atri. And Shashin or Shachin, marked by hair. Now this was interesting to see that Shashin or Sachin, they say it's also one name of Chandra and it is marked by hair. I don't know why hair here. Maybe someone may be able to say those. I have no idea. But exactly opposite of Mrigashira is what? Anuradha Nakshatra, which is again deer. Anuradha is also the nakshatra symbol is deer there, correct?
Yeah,
Then,
I think opposite will be Jeshta, right? Jeshta is also deer, the animal. So yes, yeah, that's right.
yep, yep, Jeshta and part of Mula.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
Go ahead, Izzy.
gentlemen, a hare is a rabbit.
Rabbit,
Yeah, and so
Sasa.
I believe Anuradha and Jeshta both also have the yoni of a rabbit.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So, but it was nice to see association of hair with the Chandra. And it's called Sasa. Sasa in Marathi, they used to call Sasa. Then it's also called Taradipati. Taradipati means Tara means stars. Dipati means Lord of Stars. Nakshatrapati, Lord of Nakshatras. Nishakar, maker of night. Aushadipati. Aushad means in Marathi also and even in Sanskrit, I don't know, but Sanskrit, but Marathi definitely it is Aushad means medicines, herbs. Pati, Lord, Lord of herbs. Udupati, Lord of water. Then it's also Lord of lotuses. Kumudanath. Nath means Lord, and Kumud means again lotus. Kumudanath, Lord of lotuses. So all these are different names of Chandra, and we will so Taradipati. Now, why am I saying all this? See, he's very a lot of patis coming. Pati means not husband here, but it is Lord. But he's Nakshatradipati, Taradipati, Aushadipati, Udupati, Lord of herbs, Lord of water, Lord of nakshatras, Lord of stars. What does this say? He's Lord of many things, supremacy over many things. So Mrigashira natives, again, maybe you can see that there is some responsibility, there's some lordship of whether he likes it or not, that's a different thing. But some lordships, he's shouldering some responsibilities. In the night, what is that one which is really bright shining? Of course, it's the moon, full moon night. We just had a great full moon just a week back. Beautiful. I still remember last Wednesday was a full moon night here, and we were taking pictures of comet and moon. The moon was so bright, and we were looking some craters on the moon. It was so bright that we really want to cut down that filter. It was so bright, full moon. So, but of course, we know that stars are much more brighter, but they are far away. But in a night, it's the moon that steals all the limelight. Talking where how Chandra came into existence, let's talk about the existence of Chandra. It is said that it arises from when Samudra Manthan happened. The Chandra, I think we know the stories. All the wealth had gone into the sea, and then the gods and the demons have to, churn the oceans, and from oceans many things came up. One was Chandra, which then Shiva took and placed in on his forehead. And there was also Kamadhenu came, Kaustubh came. Kaustubh was taken by Vishnu, Kamadhenu was there, and Ushachareva, Lakshmi ji also came from Samudra Manthan, Urvashi, Rambha, Airavat, that mystical great elephant took by Indra, Dhanvantari, Lord of Dhanvantari. Oh, we have Dhantradashi coming soon for Diwali. So Dhanvantari, the Lord of medicines, they all came up. Chandra also came up from waters. He came from waters. Now you can say that he's born from waters, but also one can say that he was existing before, but then because of the shrap of Durvasa, he went into waters, came from there. Why am I saying this story is there is some association of water, cosmic waters. Note, he's also Lord of waters. And we know in astrology, Chandra is what? Fire is for sun, Chandra is for water. So there is some association of water coming again and again. And Mrigashira is again which Rashi? Taurus. Taurus is what? Who is ruling the sign Taurus? Again, Shukra. Shukra, again association of waters. If you see an image of Shukra, what is he having in one hand? Pot. Correct? If anyone remembers, Shukra's idol is having a pot. Again, some themes associated
The
with
water
water.
pot, right? The Kamandalu kind of thing, right?
Kamandalu type, yes.
Yeah.
So there is association of waters, which we will talk again later. But again, remember, what is opposite of Mrigashira? Scorpio. Scorpio is what? Jalarashi again. So there are a lot of themes actually. Jeshta, and if you match with Mrigashira themes, a lot of association with that. What is the animal? Okay, we will talk about the animal symbol of. We did talk. The symbol is deer's head, but what is the animal representation of Mrigashira is snakes, which will come out later. The symbol is deer, but the animal representation is female snakes. Again, talking about some stories of Chandra, I want to say some stories of Chandra because how to understand nakshatras is understanding their deities. Last time also we did talk about how the Chandra got cursed. We all know Chandra is Nakshatrapati, so he married all the 27 nakshatras, and he was very dear to Rohini, one of the famous Chandras, one of the wife, and others were very unhappy, and they are all Daksha Putris. All these wives are basically the daughters of Daksha. So since other wives were jealous, they went to Daksha, their father, and then they said, this Chandra is doing favoring to one wife and not favoring to us. Daksha was unhappy, and then Daksha and Chandra was not in good terms, and Chandra, he cursed Chandra for that. I think they said that Chandra was cursed by tuberculosis. I don't know how much true that is. TB, Kshay Rog, they say. But later, then Chandra, had did ask forgiveness, but he said, "Okay, fine, I forgive you, but 15 days you will be waxing and waning, like waning. The strength of Chandra goes down for 15 days, and the strength of Moon again increases during the waxing phase. So waxing and waning Moon. So that means there is some curse, Mrigashira, some curse associated with that. So that's one story. What lesson to learn? Mrigashira natives, be careful from in-laws. No? Not literally, but yeah, be careful from in-laws. Maybe your act may disturb them. I'm not saying that nowadays no one will have 27 wives, but be careful. Some issues can come up. Maybe don't cheat. You can have one wife, but maybe have another wife somewhere else. But again, cheating themes. Okay, so beware. That can land you into trouble. That's the theme to learn. We all said Rohini occultation. I don't want to go into much astronomical theme, but why Rohini was, and that's not just a story. Rohini occultation. Occultation is when the moon blocks one star, and it is often seen that Chandra is very close to Rohini, and it has occulted that star many times based on the path of the ecliptic and all those. So that's why maybe the story has encoded that observation in that. Like Chandra is dear to Rohini because Chandra has occulted the star Aldebaran. Aldebaran is again Rohini in the Taurus constellation. So that's the story. And we have done whole series on that in Dr. Pai's channel. We did discuss about all the data and also they say that Rohini is very dear wife for Chandra and all those. But um, I think one can have this link, which we did long time back on Dr. Arjun Pai Astrology channel, where I did talk about astronomical and I did show the research papers and all, and how many times Chandra has occulted different stars, like Aldebaran as well as Jyeshtha and so many. Again, it has occulted Jyeshtha also several times, opposite to Rohini. So we did this long time back. I don't know, many years back. But if anyone interested, take a look. So that's one story of Chandra. Okay, so that was one story. The second, so there are a lot of stories of Chandra. There are some stories which I'm highlighting. The famous Rahu and Ketu, we all know that was Sorbhanu, and after that, Amrit came from the ocean. The avatar of Mohini and how she tricked, she made Devas and Daityas to sit on two different groups, and she fed only Amrit to Devas but not to Asuras or the Rakshasas. And this one Rakshas or one Asura named Swarbhanu noticed that, and he took the form of Devas, sat in the group of Devas and drank the Amrit. Who pointed Mohini about Swarbhanu? It was Sun and Moon. Again, Moon. Sun and Moon pointed out to Rohini that, yes, he is not a Deva, he is an Asura. And then we know Mohini became furious. She took the Vishnu form, took the Sudarshan Chakra, cut off his head, but Amrita has already gone. The head became Rahu, the body became Ketu. What is the lesson you learn? It was Chandra and Surya who exposed this crime of, I won't say crime or whatever, this crime of Sorbhanu. So what can you learn? Mrigashira natives. Again, the Chandra is very good in exposing. So this can be a positive thing. If something is wrong in society, probably these people will be great in exposing those. Something wrong that happens. Or you can say even the other way, extreme themes can happen. Hiding also at the same time. Hiding and exposing too. But something related, some secrets, revealing of secrets, revealing of some things which are hidden in the society, some new knowledge again, revealing something new knowledge. So remember now, if you have planets which are like really technical planets, like Mars in Mrigashira, or maybe Rahu in Mrigashira, or something like that, what are they doing? They can be very good in science and I'm just giving an example now. It can be in any other field, but through science, exploring some new things, some new research, something which is hidden or something which is unknown. It may not be only science, it can be any other things too, maybe in the field of politics or maybe in the field of Bollywood or Hollywood or whatever, exposing different things, exposing some scandals, some secrets. Okay, so that's the story to learn. Then another story of Brihaspati, Tara, and Chandra. We all know that Brihaspati's wife Tara, she eloped with Chandra, and then they had a Buddha, the Mercury planet. So again, this shows how Chandra can be sometimes mischievous. The same story you can associate with having one wife and eloping with the other one or something like that. So Mrigashira natives. See, Mrigashira are like deer, very timid. Okay, want to explore things, want to go to different places, want to maybe repenting for their action later. What happened to Chandra after having or loving Rohini a lot? He has to incur the curse of his father-in-law, which was a trouble later. So some of their actions, thoughtless actions, now can be a problematic for the future. So one thing which Mrigashira natives has to think is think before you act. Be cautious. Think twice. Think thrice. See what you do. Okay. So this is one thing. Of course, then finally Tara came back to Jupiter, and things were settled with Mercury. And then Jupiter later accepted Mercury, but Mercury is a child of Chandra. See, the whole, actually, the Chandra Vamshi, the whole, we have two Vansh, correct? In India, they call Surya Vanshi and we have Chandra Vanshi, the solar dynasty and the lunar dynasty. The solar dynasty, Sun's dynasty, and the lunar dynasty is the moon dynasty. Chandra giving birth to Mercury. Mercury then married to Ila, correct? And then they had, what is that name? Mercury's son, Pururavas, correct? Pururavas. And then, generation came, and then Krishna was from Chandravanshi, and we know Sri Ram was from Suryavanshi. So so we should owe a lot to Chandra and Surya. There is whole Vansh, Surya, a lot of Suryavanshis and Chandravanshi. Even there is Suryavanshi, even last name I have seen many people in India have the last name as Suryavanshi. Chandrakant, Chandravamshi. Chandravamshi I've never heard as a last name, but who knows? But Suryavamshi I've definitely, I have a friend in fact whose last name is Suryavamshi. Okay.
I think the Chandrakant was one of those famous TV shows, right? TV serial thing.
Oh, yeah,
Like in
Chandrakanta.
Doordarshan, Chandrakant or something like that, was there, right? Yeah,
1995.
Chandrakanta, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that Yakku
Yeah,
Singh used
90s,
to
right?
come
Yeah.
in.
Yaku Singh, yeah, that's right.
But there is a dynasty. Let's hold the family tree is still there, probably of Surya Vamshi and Chandra Vamshi. Remember, there may be, and then of course there are different segregations that happen. There are different Surya Vamshis and all those things. But anyway, so what we learn with all these stories, what we have learned, there are some water related things, of course. Soma, I don't know whether it is what is that drink, but brewing, so that Mrigashira natives can be a lot of brewing activities. Chandra's Vahana is deer, so deer related themes, lordship over various themes, like we said, Chandra is Nakshatra Adipati, Tara Adipati, Udupati, and so many patis, so many lordships of over so many things. So leader, and you want to expose so many things. Issues with in-laws can happen. What happened to Chandra? He was cursed with tuberculosis. Now, I have not done this research. One can do this if Mrigashira natives is there some effects of tuberculosis or something when they have to? I have not done that research, medical, something which I'm interested, but I have not done that. Maybe possible. We need to see if they are more associated. See, again, tuberculosis, it affects what? Tuberculosis affects your lungs. Again, third house themes are coming there, breathing. So maybe the body organs are there. Health related issues. What happened to sun or moon? Shai Rog happened, TB happened. So health related issues one needs to see. We saw that it exposed the Swarbhanus or Rahu Ketu thing. So giving clarity, exposing secrets, which I mentioned. Relationships, Tara, Tara Brihaspati story, which we said. Then also Rohini's affairs and all. So relationships, issues can happen, and they will have problems because of this relationship. They can land into some problems and all, and incur some curses from others or their seniors. Shifting energies now. Now, Mrigashira Nakshatra is also sometimes they say that it is Mata Parvati's Nakshatra, which I just wanted to highlight it. Sometimes people call Mata Parvati's Nakshatra. Remember what comes after Mrigashira? Ardra. Ardra is what? Betelgeuse. Deity is what? Rudra, which is for the next week, next time's topic. But Rudra is what? Calmer form of Shiva. They say that Mata Parvati's Nakshatra is Mrigashira. What do you understand? Mrigashira, it's a motherly nakshatra. What does mother does? Caring. Second house themes, family. Here she is nice. You see, Mr. Ganpati is here, Dr. Kartikeya is here, all doctors and all are here. So uh, enjoying with his mouse here. Where is the peacock here? Yeah. So nice. So, but very, very, and dear, as I said, always with their family, their younger ones, taking care of them. Family oriented. Where does Mrigashira fall? Second house, family oriented. What is the sound of Mrigashira? These are the sound ve, vo, ka, ki. Ve, vo, ka, ki are the sounds of Mrigashira Nakshatra. Okay, sun's transit days. When the sun passes through it, the Mrigashira Nakshatra spans from 23 degree 20 minutes of Taurus to Gemini 6 degree of 40 minutes. And sun always transits Mrigashira from June 7th to June 20th. Whoever born during this period will have sun in Mrigashira between June 7th and June 20th. So if you are born between this, and around middle of June, most probably your sun will be in Mrigashira. Now, if you know if your sun is in Mrigashira, either maybe Mercury may be in Mrigashira or maybe not, maybe 1, 2 nakshatras before or after, or maybe even Venus. So, but definitely sun is in Mrigashira between June to 7th to 20th. Beautiful constellation. Mrigashira is called as Orionids. Oh, Lambda or Orion basically. Orion is this constellation, which is easy to see if you people go in the sky right now at around midnight. See in the eastern part. This month, October month, not in any other month. In the October month, if you go in the midnight, you see it will be beautiful around 12 o'clock midnight. Look in the eastern part of the sky, nice Mrigashira. December, the entire whole December, Mrigashira will be in the sky. So winter months, best to see Mrigashira Nakshatra. And this is the star. This is a Yoga Tara of Mrigashira, is this Lambda Orionids, which falls exactly at around Taurus 29 degree 51 minutes. During this period of 3,550 to 4,550, means about 4,000, 6,000 years back, our vernal equinox was in Mrigashira. Okay. So look into the sky.
I think now there is Jupiter there, right? So you should be able to see Jupiter in the sky also there, close to
There is
Mrigashira.
a bright Jupiter shining at 27 degrees. So yeah, you will see Jupiter, a bright star shining there, and that is Jupiter. Okay. And this is the brightest star in the night sky. Now, Jupiter is brighter than that, but Jupiter is a planet. But the brightest star is Sirius, which is join this belt, Orion belt, and one side will be Sirius, and other side will be hitting the Aldebaran or the Rohini. Okay, and last time also we mentioned about the story of how Shiva taking the head of Brahma, and where it's like this is sometimes Sirius is also associated with Shiva, and he's shooting an arrow, and that arrow just goes, hits one of the Brahma's head. So that's the story of, we did talk about that last time, chopping of one of the Brahma's head. So remember, this is very easy to identify. Identify these three stars. One will go to the brightest star in the night sky, the other will go to Aldebaran. And very interesting phenomena, what you see, astronomical, and how correlates well with astrology. Just below the star, you will see a very faint fuzzy object, and that is called as Orion Nebula. Okay, I don't know whether I have a picture of Orion Nebula, but Orion Nebula is a birthplace of stars. So there are new stars forming here. What is Mrigashira? Again, second house, family members, new people, new members. So it's like a whole, there is a whole Orion molecular cloud, that's one of my research topic, in fact, study of star formation and all, which I study Orion molecular clouds. It's forming new stars. Again, the theme of Mrigashira is what? Forming people, birth, family. In cosmos, it is what? What is family and all? Stars formation. And you see a very immense star formation in this area. Very closely associated with what we learn in astrology. Mrigashira, family thing, and you're giving birth to stars, Orion Nebula. Okay. Some textbook material. This star is called the searching star in finding something, finding new. So very good for research. I have seen Mrigashira and it is very good for research. Searching, exploring. Power to give fulfillment and joy. Basis above extension. Basis below weaving. We were just talking about weaving procedure and producing clothing, fabric. I think Hivji will tell more about it as when she talks after me. Desire to gain lordship. I told about lordship. You see, Nakshatradipati, Taradipati, or lordships over different planets. What is the Shakti? Power to give fulfillment of joy, make the world enjoyable. So it's a happiness. It's a very, what you can say, a nakshatra, very happy go lucky nakshatra. But at the same time, of course, there is nothing positives. Positives always comes with negative. There is no nakshatra which you have 100% positive or 100% negative. It's up to us how we take and what we do with that. But these are the general characteristics of Mrigashira Nakshatra. And as I said, this is what the stars look. This is the Betelgeuse. Ardra, this is Ardra Nakshatra. These are the three stars of Mrigashira. And this is what Orion Nebula, the birthplace of new stars. So giving birth to new stars. What are the Prigashati? Purushat is Moksha, Devgana, Trimurti is Vishnu. Animal is female serpent. Again, female serpent. Bird, hen. Tree, Kutch tree. Which very common tree which you see in India. What are the importance of Kutch? Pan. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Most of you must have eaten pan. And they put that red color in the pan. The typical red color comes from the Kutch. Have you seen those, everyone? Oh, what did I do? Have you seen those Kutch, the pan, katha, we call katha.
Right, yeah, they put something on the pan, right?
Pan, yeah, the red color, the typical red color comes from that. Uh, not red color now, again, that's interesting. Red color is associated with what? Mass, orangish, reddish. And that is actually the tree, the bark of the tree is used to make that. It's good for flavonols, treat various viral infection, diabetes. Oh my God, we were talking about a lot of diabetes before. Liver disease. Tree seeds are very rich in protein, and that katha, which we'll call, which they put in pan, that's used in traditional medicine. Heartwood extract, dyeing and leather tanning is used. So a lot of commercial uses. What is second house? Again, money, commercial uses. I always like to see this nakshatra qualities to be based on the Rashi Lord and the nakshatra Lord. The here I've first pada falls in Rashi is what? Taurus. So who rules it? Venus. Nakshatra Lord will be all mass because it's a mass. The nakshatra, the as per the Vimshottari analysis, the nakshatra Lord is mass. Then I think Ashwini, Bharni, Kritika, then Rohini, Mrigashira, the first pada of Mrigashira is basically Leo Navamsha, which is Sun. So Venus, Mars, Venus is the nakshatra lord, which is Taurus. Nakshatra, no, Rashi lord, because it falls in the Taurus sign. Nakshatra lord will be Mars, and the Navamsha lord is Sun, which is because it falls in Leo. Second pada also Rashi is basically Taurus, which will be Venus. Nakshatra lord is Mars, and the Navamsha lord is Mercury. Third and fourth, this has to be Mercury here, because third and fourth pada falls where? In Rashi. It is in the Mercury. Mercury. So this has to be, you need to read this. This has to be Mercury. This has to be again Mars. And the third will be basically, I think, Libra, Navamsha, which makes again Venus. And this also has to be read as Mercury and Mars. And remember, the fourth pada will be Scorpio, Navamsha. So Venus. So we see a lot of, so Venus, Mercury, Mars. Now, Mercury Mars is a very good combination. I have seen in some charts, very good combination for mathematics and all. I have seen very logical. Mars, definitely logical and all. And Mercury gives that mathematical power, especially just see, I just take this example. If you have some aspects of Mars and Mercury, uh, Just see their mathematical ability. They or coding ability or something logical. There will be a something great with logical there. So Mars, Mercury is very, very logical. So especially when the third and the fourth pada, you can have lot of logical because Mercury is also supporting. Venus and Mars, there you can see lot of course, Mars is logical and dynamic and all those things. Venus is knowledge, wealth, resources, finance. So very artistic abilities you may see in first two padas, and very third and fourth pada very logical and all. Okay. So animals of this nakshatra is female serpent. Note, Rohini is male serpent and this is female serpent. So Mrigashira natives. What are the characteristics of Mrigashira natives? Symbol of female serpents, eyes. You just see their eyes, Mrigashira natives. I don't know how much true this will be, but in my observation, especially with the Mrigashira natives, I've seen their eyebrows. I don't know. Have anyone observed this? Eyebrows of Mrigashira. Very characteristics, eyebrows. Um, I'm thinking about eyes as such, but I know I could identify Mrigashira natives. Sometimes I would like to know just by seeing the face, identify the nakshatra. That skill I'm trying to learn. So I easily identify Mrigashira natives very well. Ashlesha, all serpents. You could, I don't know how it comes. Typical. I cannot. I won't say I could identify all, but some nakshatras are really picks up. Ashwini, horse, the face structure. So some nakshatras I'm able to identify easily, but some may be difficult. I think some practice will be required. But this is one nakshatra which is like from their eyebrows, you can pick, okay, there is maybe some Mrigashira element there. Very, just eyebrows, just check their eyebrows and all. Okay, so I was trying to look which prominent people in Mrigashira. Okay, so Chandra. So I said, so this guy has to do something. I wanted to do with Somnath, the guy who did Chandrayaan 3, very famous now in India. So I was trying to find it, but I found several birthdays of him. So I was like, I don't know which birthday is correct. And I really wanted to find, but no, at least this guy I found it was consistent with his birth date, 14th April 1957. And then I said, okay, this guy, because Chandrayaan 2, he was the one before Somnath came. But he was there for Chandrayaan 2. Unfortunately, it failed. But I said, oh, anyway, he worked with Chandrayaan. Maybe is there something with the Mrigashira in him? And behold, of course, I will say that don't take this timing. This timing I have just put as 10. I can confirm that his birthday is that and the place, but not the timing. But I just want to see Mars in Mrigashira. Mars, logical, dynamic, all those. And who is seeing it? Mr. Saturn. Dr. Saturn is seeing it.
So who is this guy, Aditya? Just for viewers.
This is basically, he was the ISRO chairman during 2019 when Chandrayaan 2 was launched. Chandrayaan 2 was not successful, but still Chandrayaan 2 was
And
launched.
what is ISRO?
Which is a mission to moon, and ISRO is Indian Space Research Organization, which is like the NASA of India, you can think of. KS1. That was in September 2019 around, and it was very unfortunate that we failed, but then we tried Chandrayaan 3 and that was a successful, and that time was Somnath. So I wanted to see Somnath's chart, but unfortunately I was not able to get it. But Mars, logical, dynamic. Saturn, karmadipati, karma, his main job. You can see Mars and Saturn exactly opposite to each other. And what else? Is it Jupiter 7, 8, 9? Jupiter's ninth aspect too. So Mrigashira is getting some help. Mars is getting that help from Saturn, from Jupiter. Maybe Mrigashira Chandra blessed him probably. Who else can you think of? I did not show you the people, but looking at the qualities, when you say about drinking, because it's brewing, correct? I told Mrigashira brewing. Who is that guy in brewing?
I think Vijay Mallya, that's the only name coming.
Oh, of course, this guy, Vijay Mallya, correct? Brewing. He's a kingfisher guy. And I said, brewing, okay, this guy, whether he has got any Mrigashira in him. And then he has, of course, timings we don't know, so forget about the houses, but Jupiter in Mrigashira. Vijay Mallya, Kingfisher, very famous beer in India, of course. And uh, but he has problems, correct? He ran away with I don't know how much money, and then government is still chasing him. I heard that he's in London now. I
Yeah, I
think
think
he's
it's in UK, yeah.
in
UK,
UK now. I mean, the Indian government is still chasing. This is another theme of Mrigashira, chasing theme and all. So that can be you will be chased or someone will be chasing you. That's another theme of Mrigashira. So this guy Jupiter is in Maga. Sorry, I should have said Ketu in Mrigashira. And who is seeing it? Rahu and Saturn both are aspecting Ketu. Ketu is in Mrigashira. Saturn is also aspecting, and Ketu is Rahu and Saturn both are aspecting Ketu. And note, the eighth aspect of Mars also falls in Mrigashira. So Rahu, Saturn, Mars in Mrigashira, and Ketu is there. Okay. So Vijay Mallya. So I was like, I just saw, okay, whom I should take. And then it was like, okay, brewing means maybe let's see this guy. And it's so nice that it just comes up. Mrigashira. Yeah. So Vijay Mallya, if you find him, let me know. Maybe I can join with him and have a kingfisher. Okay. Elon Musk. Uh, Elon Musk has got Venuses in Mrigashira. Now, why am I saying? I said scientific, going to different places. That's what deer likes. Green landscape, going to exploring new places. This is a theme of Mrigashira. They like to go to new places, explore new places. Where this guy wants to go, he wants to take us to where? The space and all, SpaceX. And I'm not talking about whether it's legal or illegal or whether it is to be done or not to be done. Leave apart all those. But he's at least saying he wants to take people to space. And I don't know whether he was saying that he would like to, we will have something like people can go in space and come back and all. Going to what? Different land. Now we have explored all places on Earth. Now we want to go on Mars. Now we want to go on different space explorations. So going to different places. Again, you see, all I have, Venus is associated with Saturn here. Again, Venus is in Mrigashira. Jupiter is aspecting it. Of course, retrograde Jupiter, but Jupiter is still aspecting it. Okay. Making money. Venus is Mrigashira. Now, this is another one whole thing was a research we should see. Okay, nakshatras are there. What happens when Sun is in Mrigashira? What happens when Moon is in Mrigashira? What happens when Venus is in Mrigashira? That is a whole different topic of research. What different planets, what flavors it gives. And that can be another layer. Sun in Mrigashira in first house, Sun in Mrigashira in second house, Sun in Mrigashira in third house. Like that. Sun in Mrigashira in all the 12 houses. Then Moon in Mrigashira in all the 12 houses. And then combination of different planets. That can really help you to understand astrology. It's a huge task, but at least try to see. Venus is what? Money, sophisticated things, luxury items. And I'm sure he's not going to give space trips to poor people. It will be a luxury theme to go to different like space exploration.
I think he's the currently richest man, right? Right now in the world. I'm mistaken.
I don't know whether first or second or third, but somewhere in that list maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saturn and Venus, both are friends. Venus is in his own house. Our friend here. I was like, deer. Deer means what guy comes in in the mind. Salman Khan, correct? He had issues with the killing of black buck deer, and the court. I don't know whether the court case is still going on. I don't
Oh
know
no,
whether
but now he's back in the news, right? He's beefed up with security and all that. Some gangster in India is targeting him or something like that because he killed their sacred deer or something like that, right? So Vishnu or
correct.
something. I'm mistaken, yeah.
Yes, Jupiter, Mrigashira, retrograde Jupiter. And I think he's also getting some because Bishnoi community considers black buck deer as as their god or something incarnation of God. So when he killed him, the Bishnoi community was unhappy and they wanted to kill this guy. Anyway, deer means there's always people will remember in at least in Bollywood this guy's name. So it was like, okay, yeah, deer case. Deer is very associated with Mrigashira, whether and this guy, life is that one deer has made his life miserable. You see this curse, basically, one illogical act, making it curse and still going on. So Salman Khan. Then I said, okay, who is this guy? We all know. We'll see here. SP Balasubramaniam. What is Mrigashira? Which region? Throat region, correct? Throat region. And he has what? Rahu in Mrigashira, Mercury in Mrigashira, and SP Balasubramaniam. No more now, but famous guy. Acted in few movies, but he was a playback singer. I don't know how many songs are dedicated, like he had done work, but very well known from years. I'm sure we all have grown up hearing his songs and all. So Rahu and Mercury, of course, timings, as I put, I don't know the timings, but I put all 10 o'clock, but at least main planets, Rahu and Mercury. Mercury is what? Mercury is talent. Mercury is not just mathematics and all. Mercury is skill. Mercury is a talent. Rahu, again, further bolstering it. Rahu is again movies, film industry, maybe. And Rahu with Mercury, very good vocal cords, probably. Okay. Festivals, that's my last section always. What festivals during this period comes during from 7th June to 20th June. So let's understand what festivals come. It's called Ganga Dashera in India, where it's the Dashmi Tithi of Jyeshta Shukla Paksha. Um, and it is said on this day, I think the Ma Ganga came down to earth. That's what is the story is on Ganga Dashera day. Again, why I'm saying Dashera? Themes of what? Themes of water. Again, themes of water. The water is coming. The cosmic Ganga is again a very holy river in India, associated with water qualities. And this is a great water, great cosmic waters came onto earth. Shiva took the Ganga on his head and then made it to flow from Gangotri. But again, the water theme. This is a time when Jyeshtha month is when there is a beginning of rainfall in India too. So now the rivers are getting fed with water, overflowing, abundance, all those things are coming up. Just after one day, it is Nirjala Ekadashi. Now again, this is very interesting. Nirjala. Nir means what? No. Jal means what? Water. So this is an Ekadashi. Ekadashi is for Vaishnavites, for people who believe in Vishnu. It's a very big day. And it is on this day, they will keep fast. Nirjala. Nirjala means with no water. They won't eat, they won't drink, complete fast on this Ekadashi Tithi, and then they will chant mantras and they will chant on basically all the meditation and all. But one day before Ganga Deshara, where water came, the second day again, it's like Nirjala, which is like they won't even have water on that day for a whole day, and then they will be just like very strict fast and doing the upavas and all, like keeping fast and then chanting the mantras and all. So it's a very auspicious day. That is happening in Jyeshtha month. In the Mrigashira, Mrigashira month, even in what is that? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, I guess, which is Bhakti Yoga in because when Krishna is comparing with all material forms, like he says that in the month I am Mrigashira. Like he's considering like among the best months, it's Mrigashira is the best month. That's what it is. Among the months, he's Mrigashira. Among the stars, he's Chandra. Among this, like he's like he shows that everything is basically my Maya. And he says this in the verse you have among the months, I am the Mrigashira. So Mrigashira is the considered as very holiest month, or maybe very a month for devotion, for pujas. Mrigashira, all Indian names, months are given based on the full moon of that month falls in which nakshatra, as per. The full moon of Mrigashira, of that Margashirsh month falls in Mrigashira. So that's why the month name is Margashirsh. Margashirsh generally is what? Around mid-November to mid-December, around that time. Okay, they say that moon is blessed with Amrit on that day. Again, the concept of moon is coming. And it's also Datta Jayanti on that day. The same day is Datta Jayanti too. It's a spiritual renewal and they do a lot of pujas and all this. So somehow I see that this nakshatra is lot of association with pujas, with the spirituality, fasting, devotion, prayers. Again, note devotion is again, when you say Anuradha, of course, Anuradha doesn't fall, but Anuradha and Jyeshta are again Dvandva nakshatras. And the Yogatara of Jyeshta falls in Anuradha too. So in that way, they are associated, in fact. But this is a month where people do a lot of fasting, spiritual practices, all those. And then, what is this? We also have Margali Utsavam in Tamil Nadu during this period. And it's all in the month of December, which is Margali. Margali Utsav. Utsavam means festival. Margali, again, in the month of December, when the full moon is in Mrigashira Nakshatra. Okay, they have dances, they have all the functions like fun and dance and spiritual, not spiritual practices, but it's like a cultural art form. Second, as I said, it's very artistic abilities. You see, the Mrigashira, the first, the second, it's also in the Venus Rashi. So, lot of dance and other things during this month when the full moon is in Mrigashira. So one is special is in June and other is in December. In June, Sun is in Mrigashira, and in December, Sun is exactly opposite, but the full moon falls in Mrigashira. And I said, okay, is all these Indian festivals? Then I said, what happens in the month of June? I was thinking, June, why? Like, what happens in the month of June? And then in US, June is considered as a Pride month. That is what is that called? On the streets, they will go. What is that called? Fair? No, not fair. What is that? I don't know. They take all on the streets. They will have, I don't know. Pride week? No, it's not something. They will have something on the streets. It's like a people going, and it's like they celebrate Pride month. Every weekend there'll be something. And why I was thinking, why Pride? What is this associated with the month? Why they have selected only June? What is the speciality of June? June is a month which is where is the sun during that month? In the month of June, the sun enters Gemini. Correct? Sun enters Gemini. Sun is in Mrigashira. The first around June 14th, sun enters Gemini. Gemini is a sign of what? Gemini is a sign of which planet, first of all? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is what? Gender neutral. And also think sun is in the Mrigashira. And that's when the theme of maybe I don't know, it so happened or people so select. I'm sure they might not have thought about this, but it so happened. And Gemini is what? Couple, correct? Twins. Third house, which is eighth from eighth. Sexual theme, third house. So if you connect all those, that makes sense. Mercury, gender neutral, Pride month. I don't know, maybe because of that reason, somehow the planets infuse that knowledge on us, and then we selected June. Why not July? Why not December? Why not September? Okay, so that's what happens here. So finally, Mrigashira characteristic, creative individuals, I will say, charming personality, attractive eyes, snake thing. Ego issues can bring downfall, so beware careful. Relationship issues with in-laws. Finance, resources, wealth-related themes, because Mrigashira is associated with the second house in the chart. Connected to plant, animal growth. That's what, because Nakshatradipati, Taradipati, herbs. Now, this is one good thing. I've not done research. Somehow, this nakshatra did not give much time to do analysis. For me, I don't know why. I have also an important planet in Mrigashira, maybe because of that, something like that. But one can say if people who are into herbs, medicines, Ayurvedic or something like that, see if there's any connection with Mrigashira. I was not able to do much on that due to lack of time. Call me searching star, Chandra, Moon plus Venus, trees are Katechu, and the festivals we all discussed. So these are some of my findings with Mrigashira, and I'm still noting down each timings. We have reached about 67 hours, 50 minutes, and 52 seconds of Nakshatra. And let's see today, Mrigashira, we will cross 70, I'm sure. So it's almost like if people see our Nakshatra videos, they have to take 3 continuous days. 72 hours will be 3 days continuous, and it will be like a Bhagavad Saptah. It will be like Bhagavad Saptah is like 1 week of Bhagavad Gita they do. I think this can be also be a non-stop 3 days, 4 days, Nakshatra Saptah maybe. People can do. I don't know what I want to see how much time, what is the total final time we reach after doing all the 27, 28 nakshatras. So counting is going on. Let's see. So that's what I have for Mrigashira. With that, I think that's where I should stop. Oh my God, it took a lot of time.
Great. So thank you, Aditya. That's great. Anyone who would like to add to anything what Aditya said? Or UG can go next, actually. Dr. Pai, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think I have many things to add. There are some good observations, but I would let Eve G. First of all, welcome, Eve G. It's been an exile for you. You are in Ajnatavas, which means you are incognito for almost a year. But it's very nice to have you back joining this team. So I will let you go first because I know you will bring in so many profound insights, and then I can add over whatever tidbits I have to contribute here. I think Aditya has done a very good job, and he always goes first and he gives us a very good head start. So there is less that we can speak because he has covered most of it. So, but Evji, I would like to welcome you on board again, and yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Paiji. Thank you all. Thank you, Laddu Baba. I have, actually on the
Thanks.
point.
I'm, I'm like a textbook material. I'm not like, it's boring stuff, I feel, but it's like these are the textbook materials. I want to give people now build on those.
No, it's excellent. You're very thorough. We covered many points. And I'll start here with just with my head down a bit to Jyotish and express how grateful I am to be sitting here with the team. I really missed you guys, and it's been it's been a bit of a journey. So on your theme of the ego causing problems, Laddu Baba, Togi, I can come in on that theme. I deemed it upon myself to exit Jyotish when my teacher, very dear to me, who devoted so much time to me and just had so much forbearance with my ignorance. I'm not saying this to be modest. I'm serious. I'm very serious. What he had to bear from me was ridiculous. Had asked me to do Jyotish, and so I'm coming back with my head down, reapproaching, accepting that he knew what was best for me the whole time. And whenever my small mind has gotten involved, it just doesn't know anything. So that's where I'm going to start with Mrigashira. That's where I'm going to start with Soma. What deserves immortality and what is mortal? What is impermanent and what is permanent? And this is a big theme with Soma. So I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to point out some things that might really complement Laddu Baba. Sorry, that's my name for Togi. So it's all of our names for Togi. So, but
That's
yeah,
okay. I like it.
it's perfect name. You can bless
Yeah.
us with Laddus. But yeah, the theme here is really important. You highlighted so many things, actually, Togi, that will help me explain. So I have here, which I recited in the beginning, just the selection of Mrigashira from the Shiva Panchakshara Nakshatra Mala Stotram. Now, I want to start with the fact that the Prajapatis and the Rudras are always at a head. And many of you who have listened to me know that I often say this. So I'm not trying to be redundant here. Or repeat something that you've already heard, but I'm going to have to just give it a preface that if you notice, Brahma gives the Vedas, right? Lord Brahma, Prajapati, gives the Vedas. So we find something called the Nakshatra Suktam in the Yajur Veda. And if you look at the Mrigashira portion, it's all about procreation and even reproductive. Rohini and Mrigashira are quite centered around reproduction. That's what I would say. And I want to add in here that Soma, Chandra, the Devata, is not only a graha, right? He's one of the grahas. There's only a few nakshatras that have this, but he has an Adi Devata and a Pratyadi Devata. I need to start here. So I want to say something very simple about the Adi Devata and the Pratyadi Devata that's important. Some of you may feel, oh, it's this, or you've had explanations for it. Please forgive me. May you be protected from my ignorance. I'm definitely not a perfect person, but from my observation and from my actual practice, my whole life has been hands-on practice. I have not replaced my brain with a book. So this is from experience that I'm speaking, from doing the sadhanas, okay? The Adi Devata is upas, very commonly for Chandra. Liquid, to Togi's point, liquid, waters, okay? The Pratyadi Devata is Ma Gauri, Parvati. And this is considered her birth star. Mrigashira is considered Ma Parvati's birth star. Now we have the Adi Devata. If you examine all of the grahas, the Adi Devata for a graha is the Prajapati manifestation of that graha. It is the graha in charge of the worldly activities of this nakshatra, or the graha of the graha. So the Adi Devata is very much linked to the Prajapatis. Let me give you an idea. So for Surya's Agni, and the Pratyadi Devata is Mahadev himself, Lord Shiva, Rudra. So Agni, let's take the natural lord of the fifth house, okay? Someone using mantra shastra, sacrificing to Agni in the Homa. And what do they pray for? Good progeny, abundance in the land, all these things. Agni is the Devata for that, for the Prajapati portion of Surya. For the Rudra portion, which is for people either on the spiritual path, or you could see Shiva has very little to do with these kinds of rituals. That was a Prajapati thing. Pujas and havans, all of these havans, these yajnas, these homas, this was all Brahma's responsibility. Shiva is the guy that is free of ritual, actually. I mean, tantras, sure, all of that, but the freedom. Shiva is the Devata of freedom. Absolute freedom from karmas. No more Prajapati. No more reproduction of karmas, okay? So if we look at it this way, let's go back to Soma. I mean, we'll stay with the sun here for just 1 second. So Rudra, the sun being the natural lord of the fifth, using mantra shastra for freedom instead of the Prajapati version, which is for wealth and progeny, okay? Now for Soma, we are moon. Chandra, we have apas, which is reproductive fluid. It's all the liquids of the body, all the liquids of the earth. Our earth is a living being, right? I think we can all agree with that the earth is an actual living being, Bhumi Mata. And all the liquids of her are her fertility. Without liquid, you get age. You start aging. Look at a ship at the bottom of the ocean without oxygen and light. It will stay preserved. If you put the ship on top of the air, we bring it out of the water, and it hits the air, it disintegrates into ash. As soon as it hits light and air, Shiva comes, destruction, and that thing is destroyed. But as long as it's only in the Soma, in the water of the ocean, that ship will stay perfectly preserved. Vayu and Agni are the two elements of destruction, actually. Soma is the element of preservation. So the somas of the body, the liquids of the body, prevent it from aging. The fluid in the joints, all of these things. Saliva in the mouth, you can taste your food. Ras, So this is the Devata. The Apas are the Devatas linked with the Prajapati element of this nakshatra. So when Togi was saying everything about family orientation and the second house element, and also even food, taste, these things, even the portion of Mrigashira that is going from the second house to the third house. I want you to note that because there's going to be something interesting I talk about later there. This whole element can be highlighted there, okay? But the second house really. Now, the Shiva or the Rudra portion, the element linked, if someone wants freedom, you do notice I quoted the Shiva Panchakshara Nakshatra Mala Stotram. I did not recite the Nakshatra Suktam because that belongs to Prajapatis, and I am very aware, whatever you pray for, you may get. I do not even want to speak the Nakshatra Suktam because I don't want the things they're asking for. Okay, so here we're just worshiping Lord Shiva, and I know that his force is to give freedom. Okay, so I feel honest speaking this. Now, if we examine this and we look at Ma Parvati, how did she get Shiva, the immortal one, as her husband? Think about it. How much do we worship that which is impermanent as permanent, as if it's going to make us happy? These are the small forms of soma. Food, we eat it, it tastes good. You know, some wealth, okay, we're comfortable. Okay, a partner, we're not lonely anymore. All of these things, we have children, we have progeny, we do all of these things, and we get these little doses of soma. Little doses, right? But there's a hidden force in the room that's consuming soma always. Agni, call Agni, the fire of time, is devouring your body. As I've always said, is eating your body like soma. It's eating everything, right? There's some fire, or you could say time is eating you. And I've always said this from the beginning, that the study of Jyotish, the study of light, is that which is consuming you. Anything impermanent, time will consume. Maybe not plastic. Plastic might be immortal. I don't know yet. But I'm just saying, okay, on a serious note, you know.
They say even plastic is after many, many years, even that is mortal.
Yes, exactly. So time eventually devours all the temporary forms of soma, is what I'm trying to say. So upas is the thing preserving the temporary forms of soma. Gauri or Parvati is the part of all of us. Okay, you could say this, that we get to the point where we're like, I will not eat. I will not sleep. I will not eat the food of this world and preserve this false soma. Right? What does Shankaracharya, what does Shankaracharya call the body? Annamaya kosha, food body. It's kept alive by food, and it becomes food at death. Just throw the thing in the fire. What eats it? Agni. So either time is eating you, or Agni is going to eat you, or animals will eat you. So this is the impermanent thing. So Ma Parvati says, no, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to sleep. I'm only going to take the name of my beloved. I'm not going to stop until I see his face. This is the liberation of the moon. The moon is the Janma Karaka, the indicator of why we take birth. This mind is constantly becoming this and becoming that. I just went through it myself thinking I was renouncing everything, and I was still becoming. Because I'm that kind of idiot. So, this is the thing. This is really the thing. That determination. You see, this is a Mangal activated nakshatra, and Mangal is the Lord of tapas. So this is only Vimshottari Dasha, by the way. Vimshottari Dasha shows the karma phalam of human beings. That is what it's for. It starts with Agni, and Agni is the Prajapati for us. We do the ritual with Agni. He is the Prajapati. He takes care of the prayers for human beings. Fulfill that, fulfill this, fulfill this. What's Agni's story? He constantly has lust and appetite. He spies on the Rishi's wives, He's natural lord of the fifth house, Surya, affairs, children, all these things. Joy, also joy. See, that is the Adi Devata of Surya that will keep you getting reborn. But the Pratyadi Devata of Surya, the liberator, is Lord Shiva. So for the moon, Upas is that. Now, that natural lord of the fourth, Manas, the mind, and moon is Manas Karaka. So if you keep feeding the mind all this water, if you just keep the mind alive until you expose it to light, it can't disintegrate. And so if you read this verse here, really beautiful for those who are interested in freedom. Hey, I don't blame anyone for having desires. I get it. And I wouldn't even blame anyone for not wanting the spiritual path at all. Spiritual path is pretty brutal. If you're very genuine about it, it's pretty ruthless in some ways. But what you're getting out of it is the real soma. It's not an impermanent thing. It is not a happiness that dies. You eat less, you sleep less naturally. You don't need all these things from this world. Anyway, these verses are telling you how to get free of the karmas of Mrigashira. This is a very beautiful, any of you who are on a very serious path and you're interested in the secret of freedom from your nakshatras instead of dwelling on the personality of this and fulfilling that desire and doing this. I'm speaking to those of you who are interested. This is not to tell you you should be interested. Please be natural. Please be natural. Lord Shiva is the one that burns Kamadev to ash, right? So this is what I'm speaking to. If you want freedom from that, big capital if, look what it says here. And look at Pada 3. Nama matra dagda sarva papate. The utterance of his name burns all the pop. Sin is an English word, really ridiculous word. It implies something bad. In Sanskrit, papa is not the English version of Christian sin. Even ill health is papa. So this is a hard word to understand for English thinking mind. Try to go a little deeper than the Christian sin here. But the utterance, misfortunes, just the whole baggage. Now, Shiva is often called sarva punya papa nashanam, like destroying even punya, getting rid of all the merit and just getting you free from good and bad completely. Here it's saying pop karmas, those which make you suffer. Pop karmas make us suffer. So interestingly, third pada, we have this. Second pada, we have the earth element. We have the earth. So this is Prithvi Tattva. We have Mount Meru mentioned, right? So for Vayu Tattva, we have the repetition, the using of your voice to say his names. For here, this is interesting. This is your body, guys. Prithvi Tattva is your body. Mount Meru is often a reference, a yogic reference to your spine, your spinal column. Okay, so this is a yogic reference here. So I'm just kind of giving you an idea that these are cryptic. Now at the end, in the Jala Tattva, we have the one who's inaccessible to those whose hearts are full of desire, basically. As long as as long as the little desires are crowding the heart, the one desire for that goal of freedom doesn't have room. So that one desire has to eat all the other, consume like a fire all the other little desires until that one, the only pleasure, is seeking that one goal. So I just wanted to bring this here tonight for anyone who is really serious about their path. This is a beautiful Nakshatra Mala Stotram. Now, the only last thing I would say, more on Jyotish, on the Jyotish side and less on the spiritual side. Togi showed some charts and they were really good, actually. I wanted to mention how good some of the stuff he shared was. There are people that really do expose Togi under Mrigashira, and that was something I wanted to mention. Everyone can look up these charts. I don't want to show the charts live because these people are still living, and I have a ethics against that. I try to do that the least amount possible. So Gary McKinnon, who was a hacker and he released the secrets of NASA, he's having Mrigashira. Edward Snowden, Julian Assange. Okay, these when Togi brought up Soma and Surya or Chandra and Soma exposing the secret in the room. Now let's honor Rahu because we have to admire this. He was not tempted by Mohini. He was on a mission for his people, right? He's also often an assassinated character. He's a character of assassination, sacrificing. Gandhiji has, Rahu conjunct the moon. So many of these guys, Martin Luther King, Rahu with Atmakarka. So please don't vilify Rahu, but I'm saying that he is a kind of a political spy. He kind of has this element too. Interesting. But Gary McKinnon, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, these are all guys with Mrigashira. And to your point, they're all hackers or they're all very intelligent. Actually, Mrigashira Chitra Dhanishta, number one, Mangal Nakshatras for hackers and these people who do this. So so many points that you had, Togiji. Actually, and I can even share my screen again with this, a few charts, just to show people some Mrigashira. We'll just go through this really quickly because I actually really want to hear what Dr. Pai has to say. I always learn things from you guys. So quickly, guys, Upasni Maharaj of Sakori, one of my favorite Avadutas, he has Mercury in Mrigashira, and he became an Ayurvedic physician through that dasha. So we're talking about Soma. Soma desired to have mastery of the plants, actually. So once again, the real Soma, in Yoga Shastra, there's something called the Bindu Visarga, and it's in the back of the head. And it's said to be an upside down, sometimes crescent moon that rains down the Soma. There's all these esoteric things, guys, that I don't. I'm just a little peon. I'm definitely not a yoga guru, but I do know all the Shastra. Unfortunately, like Togi ji, my brain just retains all of that. So what Togi, maybe even Shukra, you say Mercury, but Sarva Shastra Pravaktaram, So
Yeah.
there's some Shukra going on with this too. But yeah, for any of you interested in the yogic side, please, the Ida. The left side of the left nadi is also associated with Soma, and the Pingala with Surya, right? So any of you interested, I would recommend studying that on your own. But there is that Bindu Visarga back there that they talk about being the Soma, leaking down the Soma, okay? This also shadow of a shadow of a shadow. There's the real Soma. Then there's all the various Somas of the Ayurvedic medicine and the Siddhars in the south and Tamil regions. So I just wanted to give that example. A lot of politicians, it is a part of Vishnu Trimurti. Okay, so the Mangal, Shukra, and Shani nakshatras are all Vishnu Trimurti. That means that they will always be Leo to Scorpio in the Navamsha chart. And you will see many politicians. This is a politician of India. He was around the time of Gandhiji, and he was involved in those movements.
Yeah, I think he was the first president, right? Rajendra Prasad. Yeah,
He
for sure.
was, yeah, absolutely. And he grew up with a religious background, was always hearing the Shastra and these things like that. So, very interesting character, actually, very disciplined. But you will see a lot of politicians under Vishnu Trimurti and a lot of people that leave behind legacy. Legacy, I really wanted to talk about here, guys, with Mrigashira before Dr. Paiji, and I got B.V. Raman. Now, legacy, that which deserves to be remembered. Okay, Vishnu Trimurti in general deals with that because Vishnu makes things long lasting. For those of you practicing Jyotish and are interested in predictions, I know I often talk about spiritual topics because that's the way I really apologize about that for you guys that are not interested in that. That's just what I live as. I do those things. But truthfully, I'm a stickler actually for detailed research, the other side of me that I haven't revealed as much. And one thing that is very clear, things that happen through Vishnu Trimurti nakshatras can last a very long time. So you want to hope that they're good, okay? Because it can be a long-lasting illness, actually. If you have a planet in Mrigashira and you run the dasha and people are telling you that your health is going to be good, but your health does not correct, you maybe need to go to a doctor. Please don't keep going to alternative healers, for instance. I'm not saying that they're not good, please. I'm saying that sometimes because it's a Mangal nakshatra, it does require surgery or this or that, like a more conventional medical approach. And I'm someone who doesn't go to the doctor unless someone drags me, so I feel a little bit hypocritical. But what I'm saying is that Mrigashira illnesses can be very long lasting. Also, don't get your hopes down about that. I don't want to scare anyone. What I'm trying to say is that through making predictions with nakshatras, people need to be very cautious about saying, oh, Mrigashira is a fantastic nakshatra. Only good things are going to happen. If, let's say, you're running Venus dasha and Venus is in Mrigashira and it's in Taurus in the first, okay? That seems very good to most astrologers. They're going to say, oh, Venus is in its own sign. If you have a Mars in the 12th and Bharani, that Venus is going to wake up that Bharani Mars, and you might get very serious health problems, okay, that related to Bharani. If you're a female, the uterus, the womb. I'm just saying, be very careful with predictions, all of you students. I very humbly say this after 25 years plus of being immersed in this vidya, I still consider myself a student. So those of you that are only studying 2 years and you're just making all these predictions, it could really affect someone's life. So be very careful. So Mrigashira, things that happen through Mrigashira can happen for a long time. And that's Vishnu Trimurti in general, okay? But Mrigashira, because it's Soma, it preserves situations. It can also break preserved situations. So if you've been preserving something too long, depending on, you go into Mangal Dasha and it wakes up a planet in Mrigashira. If that graha itself deals with endings like Ketu, it could actually end a situation that has been lasting a very long time. If it wakes up Shani, however, because Shani is also Ayush Karka and extends the life of things, Shani has a very long life. It can actually make a situation last very long. Mangal tends to be Akala Mrityu, which he tends to cut situations very quickly. So he can also end situations. So study very carefully when you're using this kind of technique, and you should get a lot of charts under your belt. So B.B. Raman, someone who left behind a legacy, right? He's also Mrigashira. He's also a researcher. All the Mars nakshatras, Mangal nakshatras. Look at K. and Rauji, who has a school of research, heavy chitra. Heavy, because in Nadi astrology, what's going to happen is if you have one Mangal nakshatra, it's going to activate the trine. Okay, and the karma palam is going to come out from all of those. You can also use the technique in the dashas for the 3 sections being the 3 different Mangal nakshatras. But even without that, that trine is going to get activated somehow. So you will see a lot of very well-known researchers that leave behind legacies with Mangal nakshatras in general, because that is a Vishnu Trimurti thing to leave behind a legacy. They leave behind the legacy of their research. Then I also have an example of a hemmed nakshatra here. So I'm kind of throwing in some things that, I have some students teaching at the conference. I won't be doing conferences, guys. I'll be joining this team and some other things. And I'm also offering, if you would like a private session with me, those are now available to fulfill my teacher's request. You can contact me, but conferences, no, but some students will be showing some things there. They've been learning with me for a while now. And if you notice, in this chart, we have a hemmed Mrigashira Nakshatra. Okay, this is the gentleman that assassinated Gandhi. I'm not going to get political. I don't want to get political whatsoever. But he has hemmed Mrigashira. Okay. Now,
When you say hemmed, what does it mean, Yuji?
so just like when you this scissors yoga that you use with Rashis, so how you have a Rashi hemmed in, you'll have one graha in the second, one graha in the 12th, and it hems in the first house, right? Like this. Well, for a very long time, I've mentioned even on KRS channel and things like that, that hemmed nakshatras are very important. Very, very important. And here, Gandhiji had the Rahu moon conjunction, right? And you have the Soma, hemmed Soma nakshatra in the first house, first 12th house here. This quadrant is the quadrant of self, 12, 1, 2. Quadrant of psychology or the psyche is 3, 4, and 5. The person, the hidden person. The quadrant of the occult and siddhis and these things, also the quadrant of others, but vows that we have to fulfill to others, which is part of the occult, is the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then you have the quadrant of the world, 9, 10, and 11. So when you have hemmed nakshatras in the quadrant of self, they are a very big deal. So interesting, Togi brought up Mrigashira having an issue with Rahu, meaning Soma having an issue with, and Rahu was after the Soma, okay? But, it's odd because I had this chart up and Gandhiji was very much a Rahu individual, renovative, very much exposing this and exposing that. Say what you want about politics. I don't get involved with Gandhiji being good or bad or any of that. Or this gentleman, he had his own personal philosophy. Okay, I don't want to say anything. I don't know his heart. I shouldn't judge, but I can just show you through Jyotish. This Mrigashira is very commonly a political nakshatra. I think even Fidel Castro, his lugna is Mrigashira. You'll see Mrigashira show up a lot with political activism. Even when the riots broke out in the US, riots and protests, and they were tearing down all the statues of the slave owners. That was when Rahu went into Mrigashira. So because they didn't deserve to be immortal. See, Mrigashira is thinking, who deserves to be immortal? Okay, a good example of a hemmed nakshatra chart, guys, is Tim Burton, the creator of all these horror genre films. He has hemmed Bharani. Just look up his chart. Okay, so many hemmed nakshatras are very powerful. I even Kanye West. I see. Once again, I don't want to show charts really of people that are still living, but I'm just telling you guys charts you can look at. You usually also have a lot of karma with people that have the hemmed nakshatras in your chart, let's say. Now, his is Uttara Bhadrapada, and he literally was with a partner that has an Uttara Bhadrapada moon. He has a few hemmed nakshatras, but I'm throwing out some examples of starting to look at this, guys, starting to pay attention to nakshatra astrology. And it's fitting. We're talking about nakshatrapati, as Togi said. We're talking about Chandra. Right? Nakshatrapati. We've completely dismissed the system of Jyotish. Okay? So, nakshatras have their own system. Every human being is born into what? They're born into the dasha of their moon's nakshatrapati. Is every human being born into the moon? The moon is called Janmakarka, but you're actually born into the nakshatrapati of the moon. Those nakshatrapatis are very important, meaning the dashapati. I should say dashapati. Okay, it's a dashapati. is the lord of the dasha. So you see Upasni Maharaj here has Anuradha moon. So what is he born into? Shani, right? And dashas are all different. Like Ashtotri dasha is nothing like Vimshotri dasha. And it does not show the karma phalam of the average human being. And that's why it's a conditional dasha. Vimshotri dasha shows the karma phalam of every human being because it applies to the masses. Ashtotri dasha is distinct for only those people that it applies to because it is not the common karma phalam of the masses. This Vimshotri dashapatis are actually really important. So you're actually born into the dashapati of your moon. And so we need to be using these dashapatis to predict things based on Vimshotri dasha. Vimshotri dasha is not just how you feel. It is not psychology. It's actually physical karma problems that come out into your life. So yeah, I'll leave it there, but we should start considering that the moon's been left out of a lot of Jyotish. Even when we're using nakshatras, we're very commonly using Rashi lords to interpret the Vimshotri dasha. And it's actually a nakshatra dasha. There's actually Rashi dashas that do require the Lord. Like if you want to be a mechanic, if you want to be very specific about the use of these techniques, then you would have to consider that the nakshatra dashas are actually nakshatra based and very little based on Rashi, actually, even though everyone tends to use Rashi Lord. So to honor Soma, we can say that. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Paiji. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful, EG and Aditya. What you have presented really, as I was making a lot of notes of everything that you have been saying. And to be very honest, I didn't come prepared because I just got to know that we're doing this probably, I knew it since morning, but it's a few hours before. Anyway, so let me give you a different perspective from what I wanted to speak about nakshatras in general, but Mrigashira will be a focus. And I will pick on what Evji had said about the Trimurti principles, which we have Brahma Trimurti, we have Vishnu Trimurti, and we have Shiva Trimurti. Now, if you start bundling them up together, you will know a lot about the nakshatras and you can do a lot of interpretations just by knowing the Trimurti principle. Let me, and anybody of you can please intervene and add to what I'm saying. Now, one of the most important things that when I started looking at nakshatras, it is everybody knows about this, but if I put the spotlight back, you will see that the Ketu, Jupiter, and Moon's nakshatras are all bracketed as Brahma Trimurti nakshatras. I'm talking about Vimshotri Dasha and all the planets in Vimshotri Dasha which are with Ketu's nakshatras in Vimshotri. Then we have Jupiter's and Moon's. They are called Brahma Trimurti. Now, if you look at the Navamsha that these Brahma Trimurti are connected to, what Eve said, it's from Aries to Cancer. Now, look at the lords of Aries to Cancer. Let's go backwards. The fourth pada of these nakshatras will be Moon. Okay, the third pada of these nakshatras is Mercury. Okay, second is Venus, first is Mars. So Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Moon is specifically given to the Brahma Trimurti. Because Moon's Navamsha, which is Cancer, will never be given to Shiva or Vishnu. It is given to, the Soma is given to the Creator himself. So within his nakshatras, he has one quarter, which is the water, which is the Soma. Now look at the Vishnu Trimurti. What do we have in the Vishnu Trimurti? We have Mars, Venus, and Saturn's nakshatras in Vimshottri Dasha. They will all be corresponding between Leo to Scorpio. So what is there with the Vishnu? One thing which Brahma doesn't have amongst the nakshatras of this, they are getting Leo as a Navamsha. Leo is not coming with Shiva. Leo is not coming with Brahma. And we are talking about Navamsha here. So that means the same thing what Brahma has in the Navamsha constitution, you get one sign of Mercury, we get one sign of Venus, we get one sign of Mars. But what we are getting with Vishnu Trimurti is Leo, which is Sun. So that is not there with Brahma, that is not there with Shiva. And the last is Sun, Rahu, and Mercury's nakshatras in Vimshottri are all Shiva Trimurti. And in Shiva Trimurti, Shiva doesn't want Mars, Mercury, Venus, Sun, or Moon. He says, I don't want any one of you. You just need Saturn and Jupiter. He needs Jiva and Karma. That's all. Fascinating, isn't it? Shiva says, I don't want your Mars. I don't want passion. I don't want your moon. I don't want your sun. Because Shiva says, he is like what Evji said, freedom. I am not connected to any of your rituals, customs, religion. Look at the Nirvana Shatakam of Adi Shankara. That is clearly giving you what is the principle of Shiva Trimurti. So it is the last four from Sagittarius to Pisces, which is only controlled by two planets, which is Jupiter and Saturn. Now let's focus on Vishnu Trimurti principle, because we have talked about the concept itself. Now let's look at only the Vishnu Trimurti, because Mrigashira Nakshatra is a part of the Vishnu Trimurti. Now the concept of Mrigashira is very, very important from the Vishnu Trimurti principle also. See, we said which are the Vimshotri Nakshatras which are Vishnu Trimurti? It is Venus. And look at all Venus's nakshatra. If you are mapping it onto the Rashi Chakra, they all fall into Agni Tattva Rashis. So Bharani falls in Aries, Purva Falguni falls in Leo, then Purva Shada falls in Sagittarius. All the Agni Tattva Rashis, fire trines, is where the Venus is coming. And all of the four padas will fall into the Agni Tattva Rashis. What is the other nakshatra we said is which falls within Vishnu Trimurti is Saturn. Saturn is connected to all the Rashis. The nakshatra falls in Jala Tattva Rashis. So Saturn's Pushya nakshatra falls in Cancer. Anuradha falls in Scorpio. And Uttara Bhadrapada falls in Pisces. So that means Venus nakshatras are all connected to Agni Tattva Rashis. Saturn's nakshatras are all connected to Jala Tattva Rashis. But all the Mars's nakshatras, they are also Vishnu Tattva. But they are splitting their thing with earth and air. Two padas will fall always into an earth element, Prithvi Tattva, and two padas will fall into Vayu Tattva, Rashis. That means this nakshatra, especially of all the Mars, is called as Dvipushkara nakshatras or Dvipada nakshatras, and they are very unique in the entire system because these are the only three nakshatras which are connecting these two Rashis. Which are those three? We said Mrigashira, Chitra, and Dhanishta. And you see, there is one more concept here, what you can actually see. The first two padas are connected to the Navamsha of Leo and Virgo. And the next two padas are connected to Libra and Scorpio. Now look at the beauty of this. These two nakshatras, these two first padas are connected to Leo and Virgo. And between Virgo and Libra is where we find the ayanamsha that we all fix to. The fixing ayanamsha is called Chitra Paksha ayanamsha. That is where we have the 0 degrees. That is where the Yogatara falls, isn't it, Aditya? 0 degrees of Libra is where the Yogatara is. That is the point. So just think about this whole transformation which is happening. So there is a divide which is there, which is clear divide, clear division. So from Ashwini going up to Virgo, the first 6 rashis, from Libra going up to Pisces, the next 6 rashis. So exactly the center point. Dividing the rashis also.
Chitra itself is Mars Nakshatra too.
Exactly. So it is dividing the entire zodiac. If you start with the Ashwini, it is the dividing point, which becomes the 14th nakshatra. So 14th nakshatra is very important for you to understand. There is always a transformation that happens with the 14th nakshatra. Think about it. You start with we have many starting positions of nakshatra systems itself. So we can start with Ashwini and end with, that is called as the Ashwinadi system. You can start from Kritika, which is the original system of Atharva Veda, and end with the, Yama Nakshatra, which is Bharani, for which the 14th Nakshatra, which is the divider, is Vishaka Nakshatra. Vishaka. It's dividing into 2 shakas, 2 regions. That is the center. Now think about it. Mrigashira is the divider for which nakshatra, which it becomes the center point where it is dividing. It is actually Mula. From Mula, Mrigashira becomes the divider. In a way, if you really think about it, if Mula, if we all confirm and say that is the center of our galaxy, where all the stars have come out in our galactic Milky Way, so that is the center point for our galaxy, which is Mula. Now let's go a little more deeper into understanding these concepts and how these concepts have been embedded into our Puranic stories, legends, and I can give you so many narrations. And for those people who relate to this, you will understand why this nakshatra and types of this nakshatra is very important. Because our ancients called this as Agrayani, which means this is like what Aditya also said. In the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, amongst all the stars I am Mrigashira, amongst all the priests I am Brahaspati, amongst all the trees I am Ashwatha, which means the people tree, isn't it? Amongst all the rivers I am Ganga. So he has given a lot of importance to this nakshatra. He didn't give importance to the general nakshatra where he is himself born in many of his incarnations, which is Shravana nakshatra. Because you should remember Mula is not only that, it is also the Mula Trikona of Jupiter. We know that everybody thinks Sun is the center of our solar system, but there is another system in astronomy also which says Jupiter is the center and that is the Barry center. Correct me, Aditya, because you are the expert here.
Yeah, we also use galactic coordinate systems too. And yesterday I was working on exactly because one data was on galactic, I have to change to R and X. So yeah, we use galactic coordinate systems where the galaxy center is considered as the center. So we use it.
Yes.
We use it.
Yeah. So that's why Nadi, people don't use the ascendant, they start with the Jupiter. Brahaspati as the Jiva Karaka. Okay, now just think about it. What do you think is a very important pagan festival which has later on become the Western festival, which is celebrated across the world when the month of Margashirsha is happening? Can you tell me which is the Margashirsha month, the most popular festival which is celebrated across the world?
I think Christmas or something.
Of course, it is Christmas. Christmas falls in Margashirsha month. Now, what is Christmas mostly, which is coming from? We know what we celebrate. We don't know what is the origin, where Santa Claus has come from, where reindeers have come from, but we are celebrating it. Everybody talks about Santa Claus. What has Santa Claus got to do with the Christmas? What has Santa Claus got to do with the even birth of Jesus Christ? And what has Christmas celebrated during Margashirsha month also got to do with the birth of is Jesus Christ? We all know, and even historians and scholars also believe he was not born in the Margashirsha month, isn't it? But very interestingly, what you will see is this image. If I share my screen, this is something that we all see, isn't it? Postcards, greeting cards. We celebrate with the. Have you seen? This
Oh
is our
yeah,
Christmas.
we get
Reindeers.
we get a
Yeah.
lot of
So
puppies.
Santa Claus is always wearing red. Red is a color of Mars, which is Bhumiputra, Earth. And Earth Rashis are connected to air Rashis wherever Mrigashira is falling. The reindeers are flying in the air. They are going and connecting the Earth with the air, isn't it? Sometimes you will see a big moon also being shown. So I really wonder, is this a symbology of Mrigashira, where there are multiple deers or these are reindeers drawing, a man who's called Santa Claus who comes with all the goodies. And wherever you're celebrating Christmas, it is always snowing. You go to Australia, it is summertime. Where is snow there? In the southern hemisphere. It's always in the northern hemisphere, isn't it? So this is a very important concept you have to know, that this might have been a pagan ritual later on adopted to celebrate Christmas.
Dr.
Okay?
Togi, it's yeah, it is. There was so much is lost with the Druids. They were basically destroyed by the Romans destroyed the British, who were actually Celt, and then the Celtics. They further destroyed the Irish and the Scottish, but they had the horned god festival, which it actually.
Yes.
I can show you really quick since you brought this up. And I want you to
You can share.
I want you to speak on it because it's what you're showing, but I want to show how India and Ireland, or not Ireland, actually, this is France. The Celts were connected. Can you see this image? So this is
Yeah.
Indus Valley Lord Shiva, and this
Yes.
is
Yes.
the Celtic. I just wanted to show everyone this, so please talk on it. Yeah. They're literally the same.
Because this is nothing but it's the same thing. I wanted to say that this is your Pashupatinath.
Okay.
So thanks for bringing that up, Evji, because that is exactly the point I wanted to make. The point I wanted to make is many of the festival symbologies that we're using, but we don't know why we're using it. Maybe there could be a nakshatra connection to all of these things that we are doing, isn't it? We are seeing Shiva. Now I'll show you something about Shiva, okay, which is the original form. We have looked at the Celtic god of forest, who is called as Cernunnos. You saw how very similar he is to the Harappan Pashupatinath. Now let us look at the original form of Shiva. Everybody shows Shiva with a Trishula in his hand. Trishula is a more of a modern thing, but the original thing, if you see of
Are you
Shiva,
going to show that old model which we have got, that sculpture thousands of years back.
Exactly. In which is dated so back that
Go
nobody
back.
knows the original dating of it. Carbon dating, it can go to thousands of years. I'm saying tens of thousands, 26,000 year old, they say.
Yeah, 20,000 something. Yeah. Very,
Something,
very
something like
oriented
that. Yeah.
figure. Yeah. Very, very different.
And that figure is only showing Shiva with a bouncing deer. Have you seen? This is a very common theme which is shown in many of the old Shiva temples. You go to the southern part of India, you will see. Let me share this screen with you. So you will see Shiva with either a battle axe in one of his hands, and there is a galloping deer. Okay, he's holding. So that means he's the master of controlling the mind. See, that is another thing that you see, a crescent moon. Now, when we see a crescent moon on Shiva's head, do you know what is this crescent moon? This crescent moon is the Chaturdashi, Krishna Chaturdashi moon, which is only a very thin razor-like thing. And that is his birth tithi. Shiva was born on Krishna Chaturdashi, just one day before the Amavasya. That is when we celebrate every month. The Masika Shivaratris are celebrated. All right. So that is the crescent moon is holding in his head. It is not a full moon. Neither it is, an increasing moon. It's a decreasing moon just one day before the Amavasya. Right? So that means he has complete control over dark forces and energies. He's also got complete control over the mind. Just like a deer can really jolt itself in any direction, he has the control over it.
Can I share
So
something?
Rudra, sure, you can go ahead, share. I can stop sharing.
Okay. I have this figure and which is very similar. You know about this figure?
Yes, this is the one that we were mentioning about.
Oh, okay, okay. This is, I was thinking, okay. And you see this,
See, he's
which,
doing the same thing like how the Sernanos is holding.
yeah, Serenos is holding. Yeah, I never knew about Serenos. This is the
Okay.
oldest idol they have.
Kalpa, it is called Kalpa Vigraha as well.
Oh, you wanted to show this? Did I steal that? I thought.
No, 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 no. It's we all know that all of these things. I wanted to show you. The reason is we are talking about a nakshatra which is ruled by. I mean, the deity is Soma,
It's a
and
very.
how can we not mention Shiva?
It's a. It's a very. Someone should read about it, and it's a very. I don't know how many. 26,450 BCE. So almost like 27,000 years old. This is the oldest idol they have said that they're so far in the world.
In the world, yeah, as per carbon dating.
Yeah. So very different and very similar to
Yes.
what Theranos. Yeah.
So where we not even following, you don't have to say it was Sanatana Dharma. It was everybody was following some kind of same faith and belief systems, but today we have divided by religion. Actually, there was no religion probably. Everybody believed in the same concept of, we were all connected in some way. We were divided later on, as Evji mentioned, for political purposes, for kings and, to create divide between people so that it becomes easier for them to control us. Anyway, now I want to shift to something much more different. Think everything in our Puranic stories where there has to be a break in the story and the plot thickens always starts with something to do with the deer. Think that is the change management. The script changes, transformation happens, and from there the story becomes even more spicier. Okay, think about the thing. Brahma and his daughter Sandhya. Sandhya, or she's also called as Saraswati, you can call her by any name. She took many forms of animals as a way of creation, and she has taken 99 forms before she took the 100th form she took is of a deer. That's why the other name for her is called as Shata Rupa. Shata means 100. Rupas means 100 forms she has taken. Now, nobody realized that he was also taking the male form and following her. She was taking the female form and she was, he was chasing her. So Mrigashira is the chase, but she was taking different forms is a kind of creation. It was a play of creation, which Brahma knew. But all the other devatas who saw, they said, this is really atrocious that a father is going after his daughter so blatantly that she's trying to disguise herself as a different thing and she's trying to run away, and he's becoming the male because she's the female. And he's becoming the male and he's going after. So she became a bird, he became a male bird, she became a female bird, she became a tigress, she became a lion. But what is the 100th form she took? Is a deer. And the 100th form is when we know the story which Aditya has said, his fifth head was beheaded, which became. So why the 100? It's like the Shatabishak, the 100 stars symbolically, the 100 forms, Shatarupa. Okay, that's one. Next story that you will also be fascinated with is Dasharatha. After Rama leaving to the exile, he was lying down with grief, and with a lot of grief, he was almost half dead. With grief, he remembered an event that happened in his life, and he was explaining this to his other two wives, not the wife who abandoned Kaikeyi, who abandoned the king to go to exile. He said, I remember an incident which was a curse, because of which I was cursed to observe what the separation from Rama happened. And the story is Shravana Kumara. So Dasharatha had one, art that he knew, is he could hear the sound of an animal drinking water, and he doesn't have to see, and he could shoot an arrow, he will fall dead. They used to go hunting. So he thought that it was a deer who was drinking water, arrow, and then when he went there, he heard a human cry. So he was shocked. How can a human cry? This must sounded like a deer. So when he went there, he found that Shravana Kumara is dead, or he's dying. And his parents, who he used to carry and he used to take them on pilgrimages, they cursed. They were blind, right? They cursed him. Like today, we have lost our son, the only son who took care of us. One day, when you are dying, you will also feel the loss of a son. So he was almost dying. And we know that, he died, and Rama didn't even come back to do his sanskaras, which means his final rites. Okay, so from there, the plot thickens. You see where it's a curse, and that is the start of the plot. Let's look at another plot. What about Sita and the golden deer? Marich, the Rakshasa, he becomes a golden deer. He entices Sita. Rama goes after, and then she's abducted. From there, the plot thickens of Ramayana, isn't it? Otherwise, where would Ravana come into the picture? So everything is with the deer. The same story in Mahabharata. Pandu, the father of all the Pandavas, he also goes hunting. And he, from afar between the trees and the plants, he sees two deers are in coitus. He shoots an arrow. And what he finds, it was Rishi Kindama and his wife in union. So he also curses Pandu, saying that one day you'll be filled with a lot of love towards your wife, and if you touch your wife, you're also going to die. So for many years, Pandu could even touch because of the curse. The last story I want to say is, what about Krishna and his final time before he left? The hunter who was called as Jara, who thought that he was seeing a deer, and he shot an arrow, and the arrow went into the feet of Krishna. And from there onwards, the Kali Yuga started, because Krishna left to the Vaikuntha Loka. So all of these stories that I'm telling you is all about deers. Why not a lion? Why not any other animal they could have thought about? But it's always a deer. Remember, a deer brings a transformation. The deer stories bring, the entire story is about a change management. A complete change happens and the plot thickens. Just like what EG said, it's about the preserved situation and the break of those preservation. Like the Vishnu is a preserver. So all of these changes happen within these nakshatras, which is I'm talking about the Mrigashira Nakshatra.
Well,
Anyway, so I think I can keep on going, but EG, you wanted to add
I
something?
was going to point out about Togiji talking about the curses. It's just interesting. You're pointing out all these people had got this curse laid on them. Chandra gets this curse.
Absolutely.
Somnath, the Someshwar temple, no? It comes from
Yes,
his sadhana to Lord Shiva to remove the curse.
curse.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, very
So you
fascinating.
can see these.
Yeah. Oh, with the deer are ending in some shrub. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mrigash,
See, there is also a curse, you see.
I think Mrigashira people should go to Somnath. Maybe Salman Khan should go to Somnath. Yeah, that's what correct. Yeah, you see, even his life got transformed, correct? After that case and all. Yeah, same story.
So that's why you have to be very careful with these kind of storylines which are talking about the deers. Because there have been a thing which is a transformation after all of these deer stories,
Hmm.
isn't it? Now that's why I want to tell you, this is the last thing I want to say before. Just think about Mula Nakshatra, which I said is the beginning, and the 14th Nakshatra will become Mrigashira in the 27 Nakshatra scheme. Mula was the original nakshatra which was given to Brahma, not to Nairati. Nairati is later. It's to Prajapati. But after Prajapati was not given any worship, they have demoted him and they have put a Nairati as the goddess, or Rudrani, you can say. So Rudrani's worship was given later on, but initially it was Mula, was Brahma. So Brahma's act and the curse which made him go to that extent is Mrigashira. I'll give you some more clue. Look at Shravana Nakshatra. Shravana Nakshatra's 14th Nakshatra is Pushya Nakshatra. Shravana is the star of Vishnu. See, whenever you see stories of Vishnu coming in, for example, you know the story of how a Rama avatar was helped by the Vanaras. Vanaras are, these are not, everybody depicts them as monkeys. They're not monkeys. Vanara, which Vana means forest. Nara means they were somewhere like advanced form of human just becoming before being humans. You know, in the evolution of, we say we have evolved from apes. So somewhere Vanaras were more advanced form, but they were living in the forest area. Vana, they were living in Vanas. Do you know the story where the curse has come? That he will be helped by monkey-like people, which are called as Vanaras, will help him in finding his lost wife. The curse has come
From
from
Narada.
Narada Rishi, Narada, because he gives him a monkey face, and when Narada gets angry, he says, "You will also suffer." Like he goes to a swayamvara of a beautiful princess, and everybody is laughing at Narada because his face was transformed by Vishnu into a monkey-like face. So when he looks at his reflection in the water, he's angry with Vishnu that what have you done? You have made me a laughing stock. So he gives a curse. Even you will be separated in one of your lifetimes, and then monkey-like people will come and help you in finding your wife. Why I said Pushya Nakshatra? Pushya is Narada Rishi. Anybody who has got a lot of knowledge is like you have disrespected Pushya. Shravana people should not disrespect any knowledge or forms of knowledge, because then that becomes a curse for you. Now you are getting most of the stories you will see have a link like this. So the 14th nakshatra will give you a lot of clues where the curses are coming from. If your moon's nakshatra is Janma nakshatra is one, the 14th nakshatra will obviously be the opposite nakshatra, right? Opposite in the Rashi system, it will be the opposite Rashi. So that is complementing. If one is the lock, the other is the key. If one is the key, the other is the lock. If one is the problem, the solution is in the 7th house or in the 14th nakshatra, you will find the solutions. Take any nakshatra, you will see this. I'll give you another example, you will understand. And I will not say more than that. You know what is the 14th nakshatra for Maga? It is Dhanishta nakshatra. Example is the royal throne of England. And you know who is the Dhanishta there? I'm talking about exactly. For the King Charles, the curse which became was Diana. Because not she was the curse, but you see how his life transformed, because till then no royal person could marry a commoner. After Diana, because she comes from a noble, after Diana, if he had to marry Camilla, she was a common man. She was not from the nobility. That's how, because he took that big decision, after that, his children could also marry. Otherwise, they were not allowed to marry. So, Maga is the royal throne. Dhanishta will be the one which comes to break, and preserved situation will be broken. Traditions will be broken. That is something you can start working on thinking. Somewhere you will say these are people who break traditions. The 14th nakshatra will break. So go and see what is the 14th nakshatra behind you, where you are compelled to do some karmas there. Anyway, I will not take more time because I've spoken for a length, but I wanted to bring these nuances about Mrigashira. I know that most of you will be covering the other aspects of Mrigashira, but think about it. In most of the stories, it is always a deer which becomes the major turning point of the entire storyline. An event with a deer, and it's almost very similar. You thought it was a deer and you shot an arrow, it was a rishi who died. It was a young boy, Shravana Kumara, dying. It was Krishna leaving the body. Krishna could have used any other ways to leave the body, isn't it? Who was Jara? You know who was Jara karmically? Who is Jara? Who is Jara's? Who is reincarnated as?
Yeah, he is actually the, who is that? Bali,
Who
correct?
is it? Exactly.
Bali.
It is the king Vali from the Ramayana, because Rama had sat behind and he had shot an arrow from behind a tree when Vali and Sugriva were fighting. And when he was dying, Vali said, "Why did you not come in front of me and fight with me? You are such a great warrior. Why did you have to hide behind a tree and shoot an arrow?" So Rama has an explanation. He gives that explanation. But you know why he would not come in front of Vali? Because Vali had a boon. Whoever comes in front of him, whatever powers that person has, Vali will double the power. So Vali had taken Ravana in his arms and kept him there. Ravana was, so Vali was a great warrior who, even, I believe he was the actual emperor, and Ravana was a vassal state. But after Vali, Ravana became more powerful. Anyway, I think let's just stop with this. Let's go to anything you wanted to add, guys, whatever we have discussed today.
Dr. Pai, I think the Shravana thing, the Shravan Kumar curse is interesting, because if you make Mrigashira Jamna as the Lagna, Shravana will fall 8 hours away. This is very interesting to see. That one direct interesting.
You will see many such direct things with nakshatras. I will somehow talk another time about that, because you will see many of these animals, will have the 6th house. The deity will be sitting there, and the animal will be in the nakshatra of the 6th house. 6th house is adversaries. Vahana, which means the mount, okay, will be, if you say Kritika nakshatra is for the 6th house, you will see one of the nakshatras, peacock will become the Vahana.
Right.
Sixth house is enemies. So the Vahana means the deity is controlled the sixth house influences. Sixth house is what? Enmity, diseases, debt, challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis. So ideally what you should do is if you see something is a challenge for you in your life, go to the sixth house and look what is the animal nakshatra which is connected to the sixth house or the nakshatra which falls there degreically. Look at the degrees of the planet, go to the sixth house, degreically see which nakshatra is falling and which animal, then go to the deity. Let us say, for example, Bharani nakshatra is coming in your sixth house. So Bharani nakshatra's animal is what?
Elephant.
Elephants. So you can then think about Indra or Brahaspati because they sit on an elephant. They have tamed the energies of an elephant. So that is why Jyeshta Nakshatra is Indra. Indra's Vahana is sitting in Bharani Nakshatra in the sixth house. Now do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Indra Jyeshta has mastered the sixth house energies with Bharani Nakshatra.
Well, sixth
And he
house,
has to
domestic animals and pets as well.
exactly,
Yeah.
which you have domesticated. But these are wild animals. But the deity has domesticated those animals.
It's very interesting, Dr. Paiji.
That means they have mastered that energy of that animal in the wild also. So let's take another example. We already said today, we established Mrigashira is the nakshatra of Parvati or Durga. Sixth house Chitra nakshatra will fall. Chitra nakshatra is a tiger. So she is the tigress. She is the goddess who sits on a tiger. Do you see? Interesting, isn't it? Have you really thought about it? Because sixth house is the domesticated animal. Sometimes wild animals are domesticated by these devatas, which means that tendency, that animalistic instinct which is there has been mastered by the devata or that goddess.
Yeah. No, that's
Okay,
great.
I'll leave it. I can see there is nobody speaking. So either I have confused you even more or, there is more to discuss.
Yeah, no, that was fascinating point, Doctor. I think the animal thing is a bit very interesting. Definitely, we'll have to spend some more time on it at some point in time.
What is the 14th nakshatra of Mrigashira? Will it be Mula or what?
Mrigashira's 14 nakshatra is Jyeshta.
Yeah, that's good.
Jyeshta.
Okay, great. So let's see. So I think I'm the only person left. So I'll complete my thing quickly. Let's see. So yeah, a couple of points. I think great points actually. So whatever Aditya mentioned, whatever EG mentioned, and Dr. Pai mentioned a lot are great, excellent points. Um, a couple of things on Malaysia I just want to add on to what was already shared. One, of course, these natives do definitely they'll have a gift with medicines, herbs. They'll make their own herbs. They'll make their own medicines. They can make money from medicine. They'll make money from products. All that thing, all that good thing I've seen going on. That's one great gift I've seen. They'll have natural gifts with medicines. They'll, grind the leaves and make paste of them and all that kind of thing. They make their own elixirs, as it's called in general. So that's one thing. Mrigashira, of course, the deer thing. The second thing, of course, one of the other things you see is the deer is famous. Dr. Bai had once taught about in his Mrigashira class. He had taught how the fragrance of the musk deer kind of thing is very thing. So you find they have a very keen sense of smell, actually, very strong sense of smell because of that. And not only that, because of that, they'll have a natural thing for perfumes. They'll work in perfume shops, all that places where the need to smell good and all that will become very important. You can smell the rat, you can smell the person being off, you can smell your husband lying, which is a gift which most of the wives have anyways. You can smell usually smell the problem and all that. That kind of thing can come. So there is an energy of the order kind of thing which can happen on this thing. Of course, that um, can be linked with promotion also. They'll have a gift with essential oils, using essential oils and all that is very interesting. I once remember someone with a connection that they just tried one of these essential oil samplers, right? So they tried different fragrances each day kind of thing. By the time they had finished the 14th or 15th fragrance, they were getting gift cards out of nowhere, which is very fascinating if you think about it. They were like their friends were sending them gift cards and all that. So some fragrances can unlock some karma for you. So that's a interesting thing to think about actually. And that, so there's a whole shastra to incenses as they call it. So that is a big thing. So that has its own the essential oils and the fragrances and the diffusers and all that are very powerful from that basis. So that is one aspect with Mrigashira on that. So many times they are in the essential oils business because of that they are making their own oils, they are mixing 2 and 3 oils, they are in the back flower thing and all that, which are using essential oils, all that aspect, and definitely in the perfume thing also I've seen. Um, I once met like someone who was designing their own perfumes, and what they do is that you have an alcohol base in it. Now, interesting thing about Mrigashira is that talking about the Hem Nakshatra, which you mentioned, Mrigashira is actually hand between Brahma's Nakshatra of Rohini and, Ardra, Rudra's Nakshatra of Ardra, and Mrigashira is in between. So quite often, Mrigashira Nakshatra natives will find themselves between a Rohini native and an Ardra native. That's always going to be a situation. Most of the time, because Brahma was chasing Saraswati, and Saraswati is also linked with Mrigashira Nakshatra, you find the Mrigashira Nakshatra native quite often is more inclined towards Rohini Nakshatra native. But the Ardha Nakshatra native will show up and create a problem for both the Rohini and Mrigashira Nakshatra native. Now, the other aspect which you'll see is that the Mrigashira Nakshatra might start off with the Rohini Nakshatra native, but they'll end up chasing towards Ardha. So, quite often you'll see husband is having Ardha Nakshatra, wife is having Mrigashira Nakshatra. That's a typical thing you'll see. Or the vice versa, wife having Mrigashira, wife having Ardha and husband having Mrigashira. That's a quite often thing. And one of them will have to chase the other person, just like how Parvati chased Shiva. So this is chasing karma. So of course, the standard stalking karma and all that happens. Your ex is still stalking you on Facebook. You're still having a stalker issue. All that problems of stalker and all that can come. That's a typical thing here. That kind of thing. The other aspect with Mrigashira also. Interesting thing about this is also like, of course, now Parvati was chasing the bad boy, right? Parvati was not chasing the civilized, Prajapatis, one of those town boys, but she was chasing Shiva, was like outside she was living in the jungle, like, smeared in ash and all that. So usually these women in general will go for bad boys. It's similar to that. So they won't go for a normal thing, they go for pretty bad boys kind of thing. And quite often, same thing with men also, men will go for bad girls. So men who are outside of the community, men who are outside of the community, that kind of thing. Men who are the partner might be from an outcast kind of energy. So they are not in the same community. They are from a different kind of community of sorts, can happen. So quite often you will see that they are not drawn to people from the same race, same background, same religion kind of thing. That's a typical thing which you see here actually. So that's the other aspect which you can see here. Now the other thing is that now fascinating thing about Shiva and Parvati is that most of the tantras arise between conversations between Shiva and Parvati. So quite often these natives are the conversation starters in general. So they'll be conversing with someone else. These will be the first native who's doing a podcast with someone else. That eventually becomes a big thing kind of thing and all that. So they'll start this conversation. Quite often you find a lot of entrepreneurship things happening like that. So two people talking together about an idea, then they begin to build on it kind of thing. Or one person talks about it to someone else and then new idea gets built up. That kind of aspect is something quite often you see. So it's important to keep the conversation going and so forth. That's one aspect you see. And that's a very important point because these natives are naturally curious. They'll search for that immortality. They'll search for that deepest knowledge. They'll search for that which will bring them peace. And that search will go on for some time until that search is finally stopped. So that searching thing will go for a really long time in general for these natives. So that searching karma is there. So of course that searching energy is very strong for them in normal mundane lives. So quite often these natives, they'll have Google as their best friend. They're constantly searching, they're constantly looking into internet, all that aspect, and so forth. Of course, the modern day searching scenario is like you're putting your coordinates in a GPS in your car sitting or whatnot, right? That kind of thing. So quite often on your phone or something. So if you have Malefics and Mrigashira, you can expect getting misguided on your path, problems around GPS, stuff like that kind of thing. You will see going on from that perspective. That's also one more thing you can see. Now, the searching energy is very interesting. Now, sometimes I've seen the natives will have their car. Of course, you can, in the modern day scenario, a headhunter job, right? So, a headhunter is someone who's basically trying to hunt a job for you kind of thing, right? So, that kind of thing, or trying to hunt other officials, you want to hire a CEO for a big company or whatnot. So you have these professional organizations who are professional recruiters and all that. So who are directly involved in searching for employees, searching for top leadership position, typical C-suite management and all that. So all that searching karma with regard to professional thing and all that, you'll begin to see that a lot. Now, searching energy can also happen in many other ways. It can also happen when you are searching for a god or goddess. Now, you do not know who your family date is. You might have the karma to search for it. That could be the thing, usually in some cases. In India, of course, if you have a lot of your family ancestors worship a lot of one particular ancestor, one particular god or goddess or worship for a long time. At some point in time, your grandparent left a village and then you do not know which deity that was. The karma of the deity is still there, the vasanas and all that is still going on, but the link is not maintained. So you do not know. So there's a real karma what these natives have to search for that god or goddess. That's something quite often I've seen happening. So like where these natives have to search for it, and you can see that. And the moment they start searching, they find it out. Oh, I talked to the relative, I talked to this elder and all that. The elder said this is our Kuldevi or our Kuldevata kind of thing. That's a typical thing you will see here. And quite often I've seen natives with Mrigashira Nakshatra natives are more likely to succeed in their search. Of course, depends on the planets and so forth in that nakshatra. That does impact. So sometimes when the planet matures, the search is complete. So Saturn being in Mrigashira, when Saturn is mature 36 years of age, then they are about to complete that search. Rahu being there, they might have to complete that at 42 to 44 years of age. Whenever Rahu matures, that search is complete kind of thing. All that thing you can see. Now the searching karma. Now of course, searching for a husband or a wife is also normal thing. So in Indian scenario, at least in arranged matrimony or searching for a boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing, definitely that kind of thing happens. So that karma to search for that partner kind of energy can also happen. So sometimes they'll ask, will the guy come to me or will the girl come to me or will I meet them and so forth. No, you'll have to search it out. That kind of thing. You'll have to find it out for yourself kind of thing is a real thing. You'll have to put effort in that direction is what usually happens. And the moment you put effort in it, you'll actually get the results from that kind of thing also. Now, the other aspect here, as I mentioned with the searching energy, which is very fascinating actually, is that I've seen that they make some people search much more easily. So you find some people who in the office kind of organize the files very easily, or you might find people who just neatly arrange things, which makes your search easy. Or sometimes you find the opposite people who like makes a mess of what was the neatly ordered arrangement and all that. So karma in which you are having to search it out. Now, what is very fascinating is that sometimes the blessings of certain gods and goddesses can make sure that the search energy is much more easier. So which is very fascinating. So someone once mentioned that if there is a blessing of goddess Kali, for instance, and this was very fascinating, if the blessing of goddess Kali is there, then people will come searching for that person. So you won't have to search for someone else. That person will actually be searching for you, which is very fascinating actually. So of course, he could only mention this particular thing with regard to goddess Kali, because in Kerala at least, goddess Kali is directly linked with this Mars energy. So the Mars energy is very good and so forth. The searching energy, the problem solving linked with that search aspect is significantly reduced. So either the person will come searching for you, then you know that the deity or the goddess kind of energy is actually improving that energy. So that is one other aspect sometimes you begin to see. And certain goddesses can help the search make the search aspect much more easier. Either your search is easier or someone else searching for you can also be easier. So that's one interesting aspect which I thought was interesting. Now, of course, the other, so that is one other thing. Now, the other fascinating thing is that definitely this nakshatra 100% is linked with goddess Parvati, which is very, very fascinating because goddess Parvati, without a doubt, greatest yogini ever, greatest yogi ever for that matter, because she actually found Shiva, she married Shiva and all that, so which is great. Now, of course, one of the twists which goddess Parvati herself had to go through was where the Kamadeva tried to actually shoot an arrow to Shiva to make Shiva fall in love. And finally, that Shiva himself, when the arrow came in, not only the arrow was turned into ash by Shiva, even Kamadeva himself, the god of love, the god of pleasure himself was burned to ash, actually. So now that was that was a big shock factor for goddess Parvati. And not only that, that was a big, huge shock factor for many other gods and goddesses. Like, what's going on? Like, we just try to do like a normal social thing here, and you just completely burn the whole thing off, right? So that kind of thing, actually. That's a real interesting thing to think about, actually. So because these are things, actually, right? So you have the social things which you go for and all that. You do the social activities which you think, but then suddenly it's like the person is exploding in the normal having a coffee time thing, right? You're just trying to have coffee, have some good conversation, and the person explodes it all. So that typical drama is a normal thing for Mrigashira Nakshatra native. Quite often they'll find this caught between middle of this some Kamadeva, someone getting targeted by Shiva. So typical thing will actually happen, like how the Ardha Nakshatra native and Rohini Nakshatra native will have a big clash, and this person will be in the middle. That kind of thing. Of course, the person will try to, just like how Goddess Parvati then had to really up her game. She really had to like increase the sadhana and all that in a big way. So only then did she actually finally get Shiva. And that too, Shiva finally tested her also as a Brahmin and all that and so forth. And Shiva definitely did all that kind of thing also. So there's another very interesting thing from that perspective. So very, very fascinating point. And that this is a challenge for these natives. So these natives will try to do the social thing and so forth, and definitely they'll have problems. So that kind of thing they'll have to learn on the way. Or they'll have to deal with a shock factor when they're doing a normal, ordinary social thing, and they'll have to learn from that process kind of thing also. So that breaking through the social, remember, Shiva and Shakti are not separate. So in general, in many ways, Rudra himself is showing up in here. Now, that is very direct when you look at the astronomical picture of that Orion constellation. Betelgeuse, the Yogadara directly Orion himself, the hunter himself, that kind of aspect, you can see very directly. So Shiva and Shakti are one, Goddess Parvati and Shiva is one. So without doubt, Shiva's themes will be directly relevant for Mrigashira Nakshatra natives. Now, definitely so that is one aspect with the Goddess Parvati. So there will be a need for these natives will approach things with a more focus on sadhana. They'll want to take it as a discipline. They'll want to build it, they build that energy up. Just like how Goddess Parvati was doing a sadhana to attain Shiva. Whatever these natives pick up, they'll actually try to excel in that kind of field in many ways. They'll try to put in that effort. They'll definitely put in that and they'll put in that energy towards getting that goal. And finally, they do reach a high level of attainment. That's something that can also happen. Now, what is fascinating here is that there is a direct Goddess Parvati. Now, Goddess Parvati has, it was very fascinating actually. So, normally when you do in Ganesh Puja, that happens in Maharashtra and all that. So, normally you do Ganesh Puja, but parallelly they also do something called as Gauri Puja, which is something I wasn't aware about actually. I was not, I'm not a Maharashtrian, I wasn't aware of that. So, I apparently met I came across a chart where Rao was in Mrigashira, and a death happened in that family. And the mother who would normally do the Ganesh Puja, she just could not feel the need. She just could not convince herself to do that Gauri Puja. And eventually that tradition kind of came down. Like for few years, they only maintained a Ganesh Puja because the mother was saddened by the loss of the husband. So she was like, she could not do the Gauri Puja. So she was at a loss for that. Eventually that was a problem. This kind of pujas and all are designed for energetic thing. You can't miss one element, then you're missing the whole point. So that's the thing actually. So eventually you see this particular thing, and that was a karmic thing. You could see the moment because Rahu.
Is it his internet is frozen?
Yeah, karmic thing happened.
He's eternal.
This is coming. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this particular aspect of Gauri Puja aspect and all that is something I've really seen. So this
What
aspect
did he
was.
say? You got cut
What was the
down.
last thing you heard from me?
They lost doing the Gauri Puja.
Yeah. So now
was broken.
then the son was born. Then their son's children was born. Their grandchild was born for that particular person. So now immediately now the Rahu karma is improved because of that. Now they started. Now the person is thinking, why did we stop doing the Gauri Puja? We should be restarting the Gauri Puja, which is a very fascinating thing and so forth. So definitely the idea that Puja of Gauri kind of thing is a very important thing actually. So quite often you find these kind of scenarios where a complementary set of rituals is getting affected. Like quite often we put an importance upon Shiva, but we forget the Shakti aspect sometimes. Now, famously, like this is a very famous thing that they say, like why did no, this is a very interesting thing if you think about that also, this particular aspect. Like so Gauri link. First is there's a Gauri link. Gauri is the Parvati. Parvati is the one who is actually the mother of Ganesha. So the mother aspect of the goddess. That aspect is much more stronger here. The goddess definitely has the virgin aspect or the young girl child aspect. She also has the bride aspect, which is the Lakshmi aspect. Then there is the mother aspect, which is the Parvati aspect. So that is the other aspect. So here you are seeing the karma and mother energy in general. So that is one aspect which you see. So this mother aspect becomes much more stronger for these natives. And that there'll be the actual karma, they'll have to connect with that energy more and so forth and all. And now, of course, Now, they say Ravan's nakshatra was Mula nakshatra, if I'm not mistaken. So Ravan interestingly had a very interesting problem with Shakti. So apparently when he did a lot of tapasya and he appeased Shiva, it is said that Shiva came in front of Ravan in the form of the Ardhanarishwar form. Now it said that when Ravan actually saw Shiva, because he was praying towards Shiva, but Shiva came in Ardhanarishwar form, and Ravan being who is, he only touched the feet of Shiva, half of the Ardhanarishwar. He did not touch the Shakti's feet. Now Ram came to know about this particular information during the Ramayana war. So Ram was like, okay, you know what, this point is there. So I know Ravan is very much my equal, he's very strong, but if I bring Shakti, if I appease Shakti, she'll be on my side because Ravan has a problem with Shakti. So Shakti is not going to forget that Ram did not touch my feet, kind of thing. So definitely that's exactly what Lord Ram did. Exactly during the whole Navratri tradition which you have and all that. We're talking after Navratra after all, like at least a month after that. So Ram did the puja of Durga and all that. Finally, the Manjari lotus kind of offering had to be offered. The flower was not there, so Ram was able to pluck off his eye and offer it. Immediately Durga came and entered into his weapons, and finally he was able to defeat Ravan after that. So this karma not acknowledging the other half, not acknowledging the equal half, as they call it. So you are not treating like rather than telling Mr. and Mrs. this particular person or whatever, right? So you're not you're only calling Mr. thing, or you're saying only Mrs. thing or whatever, right? Not treating that equal thing. So that you're not treating that person, not treating the couple equally, not treating the family equally, kind of thing, not treating that entity equally, kind of thing is a karma. Quite often you see here. So the Ardhanarishwar form of Shiva becomes very important here, and that is directly linked with Gemini Rashi in general. That is a very important aspect. Gemini Rashi is also the famous Mithuna Rashi, where sexual union is also said. Of course, definitely Mrigashira Nakshatra entering into the Gemini Rashi, these natives will have a sexuality issue in general, that either they can be oversexed or they can chase sexuality and all related problems on that. Of course, what happens when you do that kind of thing? Child out of wedlock, which is a common thing which can happen here. Aditya mentioned on that also. And so I'm just saying that again to hyperemphasize this, I've seen charts. Children can happen out of wedlock. They're having problems around that. Something also. So that is one other aspect I've seen happening. So really I've seen marriage. Now, this is the other thing. Marriage is happening after the child is born. Husband and wife is stuck for 18 years. They are unfortunate. They are not happy at all. That's a serious problem. This is a real problem. This is a real thing that can happen here with this natives actually. I've seen that kind of thing going on quite often here actually. The other aspect I've seen is also, so that's one thing I've seen going on without doubt. And so forth. Now, of course, I think Dr. Pai also mentioned adoption and all that, if I'm not mistaken. That is one aspect I've seen going on. The other thing also is that like the child will be very smart. So that is very direct thing. So the child of Soma was actually Buddha. That is a very great thing. So Buddha was a very smart child. Even Brihaspati was convinced. So quite often the children can unlock a lot of blessings for them. That's quite now in general, if you carefully look at various family patterns, and this is something I quite often see also. The moment a child is born, the family's fortune is completely changed. So these kind of blessings you see a lot. So like
The
the child,
child of Parvati.
yeah,
The child of Parvati.
yeah, child of Parvati. Now, child of Parvati, of course, is Ganesha, and Kartika is also there. Now, interestingly, Ganesha is more sided towards Parvati because Parvati created Ganesha, and Kartika came from Shiva, is the legend at least, right? So, Shiva is more, Skanda is more Shiva oriented, and Ganesha is more Parvati oriented, Shakti oriented, you could say that. Now, but here you're seeing in the Soma story, like how Soma's elope with Tara, and the thing is that of the child is that of Buddha. Buddha was acknowledged by Brihaspati, and Brihaspati is actually like, adopted Buddha as own child and all that and so forth. So, of course, that entire story can play sometimes literally to a T, but sometimes variations of the story can also happen. Like you had child with someone else, but then you find a new guy is adopting a child, that kind of aspect can happen. Or sometimes you had a child with someone else, that child is actually creating, being acknowledged by gurus. That child is doing educationally very well, academic excellence and so forth, very brilliant child and all that. And then not only that, the spirituality of a child is acknowledged by great gurus. Guru are in this child is spiritual. All that kind of thing can also happen. Because Brihaspati adopted Buddha. So that could mean translating. That you'll see those kind of things happening quite often. The teachers are acknowledging the child much more easily. Teachers love the children, right? That kind of thing going on. You'll see quite often here actually. Now this is a very unique thing. Now good thing about Mrigashira is that The fifth lord from fifth house from both Taurus and Gemini will be going into either a Mercury rule sign of Virgo or Venus rule sign of Libra. Of course, both are benefits. At least the first child kind of thing will be good. That is at least something good, you can say. The second child will depend if it's Taurus or this thing. So first child is ruled by a benefic aspect. The first child will be Mercury, Venus kind of thing no matter what. So the first child will always have some good qualities no matter what. That is something you can say. So that is one other aspect here. So this whole child thing and all that I've seen play out in many ways. So sometimes marriage, children out of wedlock, like you look at couples, their Facebook date for marriage is completely just 7 months from the date of like childbirth. So you know that definitely that kind of thing happening. So typical thing you can see like that. So that kind of thing also sometimes I've seen happen. Now the other fascinating thing about Mrigashira, and this is the same thing which I repeated in Rohini Nakshatra also. Usually, traditionally in Jyotisha, Sarpadosha is given very clear set of planetary parameters. Like, Shani with Rahu, whatever, right? Rahu kind of thing, malefic Shani, or malefic with Rahu. Rahu Ketu, but badly involved and all that. Definitely that can create Sarpadosh. But what I've seen is that if you have malefic planet in Mrigashira Nakshatra or Rohini Nakshatra, and definitely you can extend that to Ashlesh Nakshatra also, because the Nakshatra Yoni is a snake, definitely there is a karma where they have harmed a snake. A karma of having harmed a snake have come in. Because of which, at the nakshatra level, sarpadoshas come into the family. Now, this is I've seen a lot. I mean, Kerala, a lot of Naga stuff going on here. So, a lot of Naga dosha is very common here. So, quite often you see this particular aspect where construction was going on, then suddenly, like, a snake was killed or something. No, sometimes you see snakes coming to give blessings and they just leave. A snake will just cross the path and you just have to allow it to go. All that drama you see going on. But sometimes you see a snake coming. Now, most of the time, Mrigashira is very interesting because Gemini is if Cancer is your fourth house, third house is Gemini, third house is your neighbor actually. So you see that your neighbor is wanting to kill the snake that is coming to your home. And then you are like, I can't kill the snake, I'll get dosha and all that kind of thing happening. So the snake problem is a real thing I've seen here. A karma, the snake. A karma having, a snake was killed. Now, snake is like a pure, Rahu Ketu thing, generations occurs. In Kerala and all that, land of Nagas, if you kill a snake, you're doomed. Like, you see very straightforward thing. So, like how if a snake is killed, how you see big problems eventually following, fertility issues in the family, and prosperity not happening. Typical Ashlesha problems and all that you see going on there. So that is one aspect I've seen clearly where the snake thing. Now the remedies also something with snake. Sponsor a snake in a zoo. Feed some rats to a snake. What would it be, right? Find some sponsoring thing to a snake. Sponsor to protect some snake. Donate towards some snake protection causes. Now, interestingly, what I've seen happening is that if your home or if at some point in time a sanctuary was provided for a snake. Now this is an interesting observation I've seen. So I had someone who's 10 years ago their elder killed a snake in their home, and then definitely that elder's family suffered. Now he was going through that kind of thing at some point. Now he was working abroad. His home was kind of left shut for some time. Now he was having trouble conceiving children and all that also. But eventually, when he came back to find his go in his home, then I told, look, if your ancestor have killed a snake in Kerala, you have this problem. So good chance that problems is what you're experiencing. But interestingly, when he came back home, he found he was trying to get some work done in the house and all that. He found some snake skin lying in his bathroom. So which means some snake sought refuge when it was shedding its skin, and then it shed its skin and went back. So sometimes when the snake is given refuge and you allow it to shed the skin, the snake will actually remove that karma for you also. And then eventually within a year or two, he was able to conceive and have children. So it was a very fascinating thing. So if you provide a safe space for some creatures like this, sometimes blessings can come for you in many other ways. Of course, in this case, it happened through the fortune of time or whatnot, but this is a very interesting observation. And I think Yuji is more qualified. I think she's more snake expert and all that, so she might talk about that more. But like I said, this is a very, very direct thing. And karma nagas can play out very directly here, in the sense that now Rohini is definitely the male serpent, and here the Mrigashira is definitely the female serpent. Now, in the Naga gods also, you find there are certain male Nagas and there are certain female Nagas. In Kerala and all that, you find a Naga Kanya is one very common thing. Then you have the Naga Ragni. which is the queen. So Naga Kanya is the young girl who is the Naga. Naga Ragni is the queen Naga, and so forth. So quite often you will see, and quite often you'll find a Nagaraj in the middle, Naga queen on one side, and a Naga Kanya on the other side. That's a typical configuration you see, and honoring all of them will become very important. So quite often you will see that particular aspect. So sometimes I've seen the challenges where they'll have to go to one of these Naga places, get some energies like that, and so forth, or get some blessing from some Naga temples like that. So that is also something I've seen. But of course, the entire Nagas and all that, Karma Nagas and all that, you can clearly extend here. At least, so there are certain nakshatras that are unique like that in my view. So where you see the Ashlesha Nakshatra can be paired with Mrigashira and Rohini because one is Nagas itself and the Yoni is basically snakes for Rohini and Mrigashira. Similarly, in Mrigashira Nakshatra, the symbol is a deer head and the Yoni for Jyeshta and Anuradha is basically deers actually. So which is very fascinating to see some linkage like that. So those nakshatras are those three nakshatras are unique in my view because of that linkage which is happening. So here Mrigashira is definitely having a direct link with Ashlesha also because from the Yoni level there is something happening with Ashlesha in my opinion. So of course the karma snakes are there. Now, there is something very unique about snakes actually. There was apparently one documented case where a male snake turned into a female snake and gave eggs. There was a documented case like that. So apparently, the snake actually did the gender transformation because it was like a survival thing. Apparently, it was like a survival thing. The snake was in a survival thing, and apparently it turned its gender, started giving eggs. And that's the thing. So quite often the modern day gender problem, gender thing, and all that, where one gender being turned to other gender, those kind of things, you see that. Now that is the other aspect which you see. So all the gender kind of thing becomes a real issue for them sometimes in general. So sometimes changing one gender to other and all that. So now again, whether it's right or not, that's a different thing. Sometimes I've seen this kind of karma happening also. That's the other aspect. Now the other thing here also with now the animal, the bird which is given is hen, which is fascinating because hens, if you know chicken thing and all that, if you have a rooster will have a pecking order. There'll be like a seniority of hens. This is my favorite and rank number one, second favorite and rank number two kind of thing happens with roosters actually. And the hens are extremely competitive. They will not even like allow the other, and so forth. So apparently, if one hen apparently has brighter feather than the other hens, like the senior hen would go and pick on the younger hens, apparently, and they would actually, attack the hens and all that would happen. So all this kind of pecking order issues you will see going on, especially inside the office and all that. So you might see that kind of drama happening with this thing. That is one interesting aspect. So hen kind of thing. So a hen would mean they might eat more chicken and all that. Deer head is now deer is very interesting because the deer, as Dr. Pai mentioned, is very fascinating. Whatever Dr. Pai shared was very amazing. And Dr. Pai is also trying to show one more thing. I was just trying to search for that. One thing I just want to share was that. So this was the form of Shiva apparently, which Dr. Pai was trying to share, in which you can see this other aspect where Shiva is holding a deer in his left hand and he's holding an axe in the right hand, which is exactly that. And quite often you will see other varieties here, but this is a fundamental thing which you see going on. A deer in the left hand, just kind of controlling your mind and all that, and axe to cut the forest of your forest of the worldly forest as they call it. So axe will cut through anything, so that cutting through the world aspect and controlling your mind aspect, very strong. Now, of course, this is a fundamental form of Shiva in many tantras, and then more importantly, you find then other varieties show up, like here you see here, I believe it's Kartikeya on one leg. Here you can see he's standing and all that. Now, this is a very interesting yogic form, which is the form which Evji had. Something like that. They had something. He's actually covering his leg actually with this particular yogis apparently use this to bind this thing actually and to activate certain other nadis and all that and so forth. So quite often you'll see these natives are quite fine with using accessories and all that, even for the spiritual parts and all that and so forth. So they're quite often common with that accessory kind of thing and all that. So this is one other aspect. So this particular aspect of Shiva, where he's actually, holding an axe in the right hand and a deer in the left hand, and then that particular form of Shiva was very ancient actually. So that's considered to be very old form, as I mentioned, and definitely in the old tantras they mentioned this particular form of Shiva, and that was considered to be a foundational form whenever spirituality. whenever Shiva Aradhana used to happen. And it is very fascinating because you find this form being very relevant in deeper sadhana of many other deities. So you find that sometimes the sadhana, the tantric text you see, a lot of just, initially this form is kind of elaborated a lot. Only after that, the other form is basically coming forth, which is what you see quite interesting in many of the texts which you find out there. This particular form, the deer and the axe and the other two hands. And then only after that form is elaborated upon do you find the other kind of thing which will come, which is very fascinating. Now, of course, there are other varieties and all that, depending on the text and all that, that is different. Now, the deer is very fascinating. Now, deer is an animal which is hunted. So at some point in time, hunting problem, they have a problem because they hunted something else, or they are being hunted, or they are a hunter by nature. All that karma I've seen happening. So either like in the sense that reminds me of someone who had a problem because her boyfriend was actually hunting, actually had a hunting license or whatnot, and she had a problem with that. So of course not an Indian problem. Indians don't really hunt it out, but well, maybe North India or will forest regions or whatnot. And North America and all that, at least where I was in Virginia and all that, you have a deer license, you have to get a license to hunt and all that and so forth. So that particular thing and all that, you can see this karma hunting as energy. Now, this is very fascinating. Sometimes I've seen people, this is very fascinating again because I've seen, I met people also, like still they do, like the Native American tribes, so descendants of Native Americans who are still living or modernized also. They basically like, hunt their own food even to this day. They go and hunt their own deer, they get that deer, they hunt, they use bow and arrow to hunt it, and they finally get that deer. That deer is still used for their food and all that. So all that karma I've seen and so on. Now, interestingly, this man was an expert in the snake style martial art thing, which now perfectly fits. So you see this particular aspect where why the hunting person was easily able to master the snake energy kind of thing much more easily. So that's very interesting thing going on. So that is one other aspect. Now, deer is very interesting because quite often the trophy concept, the hunting trophy idea is also there. I hunted this creature, this is the deer, this is what I hunted kind of thing and so forth and all that. So this hunting trophy thing. So this trophy mentality will be very strong for this nature. I've been there, I've done that, this is my trophy thing for that. That kind of thing going on will happen. So quite often I've seen just like how a hunter would keep the deer head as a trophy and all that. Quite often they'll have their own other trophies. Now, this can be extended to many other aspects. Where I've seen like either they have a trophy wife, they'll have a trophy husband. I've seen trophy other kind of positions and all that. I've been to this thing, I have this trophy kind of thing. I've been to this event, I got this thing, all that. That trophy concept, that trophy becomes very important. That's how they think. They want that kind of aspect much more. So that is one other aspect also, which I want to highlight. Now Soma is a very interesting. Now EG explained beautifully about the immortality and all that. So sometimes I joke that I mean all of us be immortal, right? So then we are now, and of course Aditya is very unhappy whenever he hears that. But anyway, usually immortality is a very interesting concept. Immortality is a very interesting concept because usually like we definitely what is permanent, what is not permanent, all that really worthwhile thoughts to ponder upon. Very very important point. But the Soma is the legendary juice that was definitely that gave immortality, that at least gave you so much boost of power and all that, so that you actually would be immortal. You would feel like an immortal. And definitely there are many theories out there. Some people are saying mushrooms and all that, certain mushrooms and all that is fine. I won't discourage all that. But there used to be, there still happens. There is a Soma Yaga that still happens. Soma Yagya and all that still happens actually. In Kerala and all that, that still goes on. So in 12 years, once in 12 years and all that, they do this yagya. Apparently, the very interesting thing about this yagya is that you have to use a soma plant for this yagya, is what they say. Now, the soma plant apparently has to be plucked from one particular hill under the moonlight in one particular month. Now, I don't know what the month is and all that, but this is something I have come across, which is very fascinating information and so forth. So in the sense that this now think about that, right? Moonlight is moon, which is Soma, and definitely it is some hill and all that. And that hill apparently is still like being passed on, like generationally, it's like belongs to king and all that. Only the entire Soma, whatever happens in Kerala, you have to go to a hill and get it, kind of thing. So some mystical energy, some energy has been, some Soma thing, some historical energy might have been established there and all that. Is apparently what the legend is. So no one knows what the origin point is, but still that. The descendant of the royalty originally who still owns that hill kind of thing. They have that. So it's a very fascinating concept. So the idea is finding something in the forest. going into the wild unknown kind of thing, going into a place where there are too much energies. So think about that, right? So we come, if we live in a city kind of thing, it's very urbanized, very kind of set kind of structures and all that. The moment you enter into forest, it's like full filled with life, but it's not at all urbanized. That this is starting point for that. So quite often you will find that these natives at some point in time will have that call to go to a forest. Will have to find that go to the go to some place where there's a plethora of life, where there is so much abundance of life that they are actually looking at it deeply. And this is an actual thing I've seen happen with native. They have to do that. It's like there are some people who are perfectly fine if they are in their apartment all day long. Doesn't matter, an entire lifetime they'll be fine in the apartment. And nowadays it's an unfortunate thing, but that's the reality for some people. These natives will have to go to a forest. Now, Ardha Nakshatra native and Mrigashira Nakshatra natives I've seen they'll have to go to the mountains. That's a straightforward thing I've seen. Now, mountains usually happens that now Shiva resides in Himalayas. Quite often I've seen they will be drawn to the Himalayas. It's like a magnetic pull. One way or the other, they'll end up visiting the Himalayas. They'll end up going to Rishikesh. They'll end up going to like one of these Himalayan temples like Badrinath, Kedarnath, and all that. At some point in time, that just happens for them. And then usually I've seen from that point on, a lot of things calm down for them. So famously, if Parvati was daughter of the mountains actually, and definitely that mountain energy becomes very strong. So there's a draw to the mountain is something I've seen, and in mountains and all that, still they do completely very pure life kind of thing. You know, very pure mountain based life. Mountain life is different. It's like village life in India is kind of different. Mountain village life is completely different. You see that kind of thing going on. So this complete mountain thing is something you see. And this call to be in the mountains, the call to be in the wild, the call to actually like connect with that deep mountain energy is something you see going on. And to the point where when quite often I've seen natives with Ardha or Mrigashira Nakshatra native, when they go for a long Himalayan hike and all that, and they come back, their life has changed. So like when they are before this trip and after this trip, clearly, whatever problem they had in their life, they walked off their karma in the Himalayas. When they came back, they came with blessings. Whatever their problems were before completely disappeared. And not only that, they had a full life ahead after that. That kind of thing. So I've seen it happen a lot actually. And this has to be a hike. This has to be a walking thing. This has to be a traveling thing, which is what I've seen. This has to be a mountain thing. This has to be something where you're in the middle of the forest, camping in the middle of forest and all that and so forth. And that will be very necessary for these natives at some point in their life. And now, Ardha Nakshatra native, it is a need. It's like not a necessity, it's a need kind of thing. They'll have to do it no matter what. It's like it's their lifeblood kind of thing because the world is crazy anyways. Ardha Nakshatra natives call that out very directly. But Mrigashira Nakshatra natives be between that point. They are in that city point and they'll have to go to that wild thing no matter what. So that becomes a very direct thing here. That's one big, huge thing I've seen here. And I've seen karmas around that. I've seen big karmas around that also. So like karmas unfolding around that is a very powerful thing which I've seen. Now now Soma thing is something is really fascinating. Now I think after I talk on that I'll kind of end also. So the Soma is a very interesting thing in the sense that it is a liquid which was the Amrita. Now it's very interesting. You have Soma and then you have Amrita. Amrita is kind of differentiated, but many people look at Soma and Amrita equivalently. They look at it equally also. Now, but Soma and Amrita is actually, but Amrita is a different. It is immortality itself, which is promising the thing. The promising immortality is with Amrita. Elixir of immortality is usually Amrita actually, but Soma is given high status as a Amrita. That's how I would like to rephrase that. Now, Amrita is like immortal nectar. You will be a god. You'll be living forever. That particular aspect. You are a deva at that point in time. But Soma is very fascinating. Soma is something is as powerful as Amrita. That is also one more thing. So in the elixir thing, if you're using this elixir is as potent as the original medicine, if that makes sense. That is one analogy I would like to say. Now, immortality is a very fascinating thing. They say there are still Chiranjeevis going on. So Hanumanji is a Chiranjeevi. Then Ashwatthama is another Chiranjeevi. So Chiranjeevi is an actual thing going on. Quite often you find there are immortality kind of thing. Immortals in the Chinese thing and all that. They have a lot of immortals. It's a very dominant thing. You find immortals in Africa. There are people who are telling some president in Africa and all that was like, he's 90 plus years old, still looks like 40 plus years old. This guy must be an immortal. stuff like that. So this kind of aspect where I've seen this particular aspect where these natives, they do look very youthful, no matter how old they look. They might be they might be 60 plus also, but they'll still look in the 30s kind of thing, or they might be 50 plus also, still look in the 20s kind of thing also, that kind of thing. So I've seen that particular aspect going on with the immortality aspect. And quite often I've seen, the interesting thing about the immortality thing is that they say that if you are become an immortal, if at all you become an immortal, they say other immortals will find you, is what they usually say. If you become a Chiranjeevi, other Chiranjeevis will find you, is what they say. If you are on the path to that immortality thing, Hanumanji will come or Chiranjeevi will come and at least greet you, is what it says. So this friendship thing, the being with the same people who have the same set of ideas, people who have the same set of energies in general, that particular aspect also becomes very relevant here. So like people with whom you can talk it out, as they call it, or people with whom you can connect with and all that becomes a very important karma for these natives. But this is also happening on the immortality aspect also, not just at the human level with the normal life, or a divine level also. Whenever you're doing deep sadhana and all that, that kind of thing is expected. Initially, and this is a very important aspect to recognize, but initially what will happen at the sadhana level is that initially when these natives will come, now this is a very interesting thing they say when you attend Gayatri Siddhi, for instance. Gayatri Mantra, they say 1,000 times if you do Gayatri Mantra every day. First year every day you're doing 1,000 times Gayatri Mantra for one whole year you're doing, you'll attain all the wealth in the life. All the wealth of whatever you can attain and all that will happen. Second year when you're maintaining, you will become famous in your land. Third year when you're doing it, they say you will start to converse with a god or a goddess. One deity will come to talk to you, is what they usually say. Eventually, they'll say that the fourth year you're able to do it. Now, multiple gods and gods will come to interact with you, is what they say. The fifth year when you do it, they'll say you'll be invited to a Devaloka. You'll be invited to the loka of a different god or goddess, is what they usually say. The sixth year when you do it, you'll be invited to multiple Devalokas, is what they say. And the seventh year you do it, you have the choice whether you want to be in the Bhuloka or reside completely in the Devaloka. That is how they usually say with Gayatri Mantra. This is a normal Gayatri Mantra, the typical Savitur one itself. They say, if this is done, this is the result. Now, what is interesting is that if you carefully listen to the third thing was that you start to interact with these gods and goddesses. This conversation aspect becomes very strong. So quite often I've seen this conversing aspect with a very important personality, especially if you are luminary and all that, a very important conversation becoming very important. You might be traveling on a train, you talk to someone else, and because of that travel, because of that conversation you had, a big aspect of your life has changed. A decision point has happened. That kind of thing and all that. So there are some important conversations and so forth. Sometimes a big life choice could be a result of certain conversations. This conversation aspect karma I've seen happening quite often with Mrigashira energy. That's one way to look at it, because you are beginning to interact with that immortality, force of nature that are out there, which is very fascinating from that perspective. Now, of course, initially a conversation happens, then they actually take you the vibration to the loka and all that, and finally okay, you can choose the Bhuloka as your loka, or you want to stay in the loka or not. That's what they usually happens actually. But anyway, the interesting fact is that this particular conversation bit becomes very important. And like I said, eventually connecting with that kind of similar mind, so similar energy or similar vibrational thing and all that becomes very important. Now, this becomes a very direct thing in Ardha. When we talk about Ardha, it'll become very clear. But in Mrigashira, this is the starting point. The conversation of beginning right. That particular aspect is what you see. So the sadhana, many times these natives have to start with the sadhana, they have to progress the sadhana. When the sadhana progression happens, that initial kind of setups happen, is exactly what will happen in Mrigashira. So even to go towards immortality, you want to become immortal, you want to attain immortality, that first step needs to be taken. The first step usually happens in Mrigashira Nakshatra. That is the concept actually. You have to, Evji mentioned the highest desire. When the desire for the Devata is actually very superior, only then will you even attain the Shiva himself. So that is what this very fundamental thing that is going on here actually. That desire focus, the desire itself is actually beginning to turn towards Shiva, which is a very important aspect here. And quite often you will see these natives will definitely try one thing or the other and all that. The search for knowledge becomes a very important thing. And now search for the highest knowledge in their domain becomes a very, very important thing. And eventually that search will be converted into a spiritual search. That's something that really happens. And that search will really be, of course, spiritual search is what is driving the whole thing anyways. If I get the highest thing, I'll be at peace. You get that highest P, oh, I'm not at peace. What is the next highest thing? So you go for next highest thing. That's a normal thing. That's a normal progression in knowledge anyways. The moment you attain the ultimate knowledge kind of thing, and definitely. Now, eventually, what you would look, and here is a very important thing, what you look as the original definitions, you'll have to change. So what you look for knowledge eventually changes to experience, or to what you look at experience also begins to change in multiple levels depending upon your awareness and all that. So so this immortality becomes a very important, and which makes perfect sense, being it a Vishnu Nakshatra, leaving behind a legacy, the Nakshatra Devata being Soma, and all that makes perfect sense now. So that is one aspect also which I want to. Now the one final thing I'll say is that, of course, immortals do exist. Immortals exist in all worlds. Now they say like what happened to old kingdoms in India and all that. What happens to a great there are certain legendary kingdoms that finally they just disappeared or something. Like it seems like they were just there, but then just went away or something. Like good chance that they are in a higher space or higher loka, whatnot. You never know what happens to the great kingdoms who created a lot of temples and all that. So at least some people might have definitely moved to a different realm. But immortal energy is a very interesting thing. In my opinion, they do still exist actually. Those kind of lokas still do exist, and definitely it might not be surprising, to be frank. Of course, Chiranjeevi do exist. That is definitely there. They're still in this loka and all that. That is definitely there. So that's why Hanumanji is very quick to respond because of that and so forth. Because of that. Now that's also fascinating because Hanuman is also considered to be a Rudra avatar actually, and so forth. So very fascinating what was shared on the monkey thing and all that. Also, and that very interesting thing to see. Because the opposite nakshatra of Mrigashira will definitely be Mula, but the Mula Nakshatra and Jyeshta Nakshatra will be the important point. And yeah, so now the immortality thing, there is one more thing. There are certain fruits, apparently, there are certain legendary fruits which can give immortality. That is also there. In Chinese thing and all that, you can find that. There is some Chinese pears immortality and all that, they'll have that. So quite often you will find gatherings around blooming of fruits and all that happening in a lot of ancient times. So that kind of thing could also become relevant. But anyway, so I think I've talked my piece. So this is what I have. Anything anyone would like to add or as final points, anything like that?
You
Go
said
ahead.
about the opposite nakshatra of Mrigashira, correct? Mula.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
connected with Dr. Pai's point, the transformation.
yeah,
Transformation is eighth house. The eighth house from Mrigashira will go in Mula, correct?
yeah, exactly correct. Yes.
So what is the transformation? Mula is what? Destruction.
Yeah.
So transformation of Mrigashira is basically resulting in Mula, which is destruction, and then from that new creation.
Yes, that's correct. Exactly correct.
So the transformation of Mrigashira, because I was thinking transformation of every nakshatra will have 14 nakshatra. But why specifically from Mrigashira nakshatra is that the 14 nakshatra becomes so aggressive or so important? Because that falls in again in Mula, the root.
Well, also
Yeah.
the Jeshta. There's the side that's Jeshta, and Jeshta is who gets Chandra cursed by Daksha.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
Jeshta is the one
So,
that goes and tells that Chandra is not doing his promise.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jyeshta,
Yeah, there was another point which Santhip mentioned, and it reminded me of an architecture where Shiva and Parvati are depicted in a very different format. How the really old, where Parvati is standing in front of Shiva and is showing him a mirror. The mirror is actually to show that Ardra and Mrigashira are looking at each other, and she's showing a mirror is look at yourself. You are the Rudra. Look at yourself and see how you look when you get angry or you get furious and feisty and things. So immediately that Rudra realizes, look at me, that she's showing me, she's a reflection. So that means she is a mirror. So what I've seen with many of the Mrigashira people is they like to take pictures in the mirror, which means they want to take a picture of themselves, but with their cell phones, they want to take a picture in the mirror. Chitra is different. They want to take selfies, which means they want to face the camera towards them and they want to take selfies. Mrigashira wants to take a picture of themselves through a mirror. because this is very important. Why I want to say is, we want our spouses to be like our mirrors. Whenever we are giving happiness, they should also show a mirror. And when we are doing something wrong, also they should show a mirror. So they call us Ardha Angani. For the wife in India is called Ardhangani. Ardhangani means she's our better half. She completes us. That is the principle of Ardhanareshwara. The principle of Ardhanareshwara is she, which is Shakti, completes. And many yogic traditions will talk about this whole principle, which even I think Santhip also mentioned. Ganapati comes from the left side of Ardhanareshwara, which is Parvati, which is Shakti, because it is from her skin and from the clay that she makes Ganapati. So that means Ganapati represents the Ida Nadi, which is the left nostril. Kartikeya comes from Shiva, which is the Pingala Nadi, which is the right nostril. So if you see a picture, you should see picture where Ganesha is sitting on the left side of Parvati or Umadevi or Gauri. That's why they celebrate what she was saying is Gauri Ganesh. Gauri festival is celebrated one day before Chaturthi. So the Tritiya is given to Gauri. Tithi. Gauri Tithi. Tritiya Tithi is given to Gauri. Chaturthi is Ganapati. But on the right side, you want to see Kartikeya of Shiva, because he represents the Pingala Nadi. Now, a very fascinating thing that Mrigashira, you are talking about serpents. What is the connection? And if you see the Shiva Parivar, you will observe Shiva has a serpent which is Vasuki around his neck, because he wants to say it is about his throat chakra, Vish Shuddhi chakra. Vish is because he has drank the halal, and that is where the serpent is. The Vish is there here, which means Shiva is purifying this chakra and the chakras above. Ganapati has a serpent around his waist, like a belt, which is the Swadhisthana chakra. So he is controlling the chakras which are, Muladhara and Swadhisthana. And if you see Kartikeya, his peacock is holding the serpent in the leg, crushing the serpent, and he is sitting on it. So can you see, it is mostly the lower energies of the serpents which are not seen. They is what he's crushing, is Kartikeya. And there are one forms of Shakti where you see, which Egyptian goddesses and gods will also wear. They have serpents around their head.
Yeah.
So have you seen Egyptian gods and goddesses have serpents here? Because that is their Agnya chakra and your Sahasrara chakra. So they have serpents here. Shiva has serpent here. Ganesha has serpent as a belt on the Swadhisthana chakra, and he is the lord of the Muladhara, which is the nearest chakra. So I think these were not traditional, these were yogic secrets to show what chakras they control. So do you show that thing, Evji? Shiva, right side is Kartikeya. Left side of Parvati is Ida Nadi, which is Ganapati. So that's why you see there was a contest which they wanted to give a fruit which was given to them. To whom to give? Do you know that whole thing? Kartikeya thought it is the physical world he wants to go 3 times around the physical world.
Linear.
But for Ganapati, he was wisdom. He just went around his own parents, because he said, "You are my Ida, you are my Pingala. I'm just going to circumambulate you, and that is my world. My parents are my world." For Kartikeya, he thought it is the physical world he has to go around. So do you see the wisdom of, and that's why I also say Ganapati is not given the animal to control, is the sixth lord. If Uttarashada is his nakshatra, he's given the eighth lord, which means Ganapati. And he breaks, the right tusk and he throws it.
And he also writes the Mahabharata, so that's the Uttarashara.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Uttarashada.
And very
So the eighth, eighth house becomes Leo, where you see both Magha and Purva Falguni have the rat as the yoni. So eighth house is what? You want to crush the Vigna. Vigna Harta is eighth house. Unseen obstacles which come into our life. Not the seen. The sixth house is the seen, which means you know who are these enemies. The eighth house is the hidden ones. 12th house is you don't even know who the enemy is. 12th house is unseen. You don't know who the enemy is. 8th house, you know who the enemy is, but they are not coming in the front and attacking you. They are hiding. So this is something that I wanted to share when he was talking about so many concepts. I said this is mostly a yogic concept, I felt, with the serpent. So yoga is about the serpent's energies are just shown to say where is the block. That's why we have the Rudra Granthi, which means Rudra will release that energy. Vishnu Granthi and Brahma Granthi, which means Granthi means these are knots, yogic knots. I'm not I don't practice yoga as you must be knowing all of these, Evji. You've been doing yoga for a year now.
Yeah, but I don't know anything.
Do you know how many Navratras do we have in the
we have Gupta, we have we have different ones that most people don't know. Yeah.
right? Okay, there are two Gupta Navratras, and there are two Navratras that we all celebrate. One is Chaitra Navratra, which we call as Ram Navratra or Vasanta Navratra. That is the spring one. So we all celebrate the spring one, and we celebrate the autumn one, which is called Sharad Navratra, which we just finished. There are two, Magh and Ashada Navratra. So just calculate how many Navaratras will be celebrated in a year, which is 9 times 4, 36. Plus 1, which is your Vijayadashami. Vijayadashami is only 1. 37. How many days, solar days do we have in a year? 365. And so 10% of that, if you celebrate with respect to Shakti, your 90% of your days will be going very smoothly. Just those 37 days, which is 36 days, which is 10% of 365 days or 360. The real calculation is not 365. Yogis take it 360.
Well, look, a circle
You
is
know that.
60 degrees. Look at this.
360.
Even the Kundalini, there's only 360 degrees in this.
360.
Yeah,
So
usually equals
10%.
369. It has to equal 369. Like any calculation, most things in Jyotish, like if you do the yantras of each graha, they'll all equal either 3, 6, or 9 if you reduce the numerator.
9.
9 is Shakti. Think about Navamsha is a marriage chart. Why? Because you think you're incomplete. You are under the illusion that you are incomplete without another person. 9 is the most complete number. It has all the other numbers inside of it. After it, a new cycle has to start. This fulfillment, everyone's looking at Patni, like they're looking at this, they're trying to fulfill this. Navamsha doesn't have to be a marriage chart, but it becomes that because it's that which we seek to fulfill us. 9. We want that fullness.
Dharma.
Yes,
Dharmamsha.
everyone's actually looking for the fulfillment that Shakti gives. Shakti is a very strange, I think because we give it gender, we get confused. So we only think of mother, or we only think of this. We give these human descriptions to a force that is animating all of us. It's even allowing us to have this conversation right now, or even our voice. We call it Saraswati. Even the voice is a Devi, the goddess of knowledge, Vidya. So we gender these things. And I feel like it perhaps sometimes limits what it is. It really.
That reminds me, I think you have to complete the series on Shaktis. I think you started with the series on my channel. Do you remember? You did, I think, Mahalakshmi and.
I've had a really as you guys know, I withdrew. I'm really cautious about influencing people. I live a certain way. It might be a little extreme, a lot of the practices, just what I live like. So once I started realizing I was being a little too open with that, so I just started questioning myself. So if you would like me to finish, I'll finish.
It's not me,
I'll take
it's
it.
everybody.
Yeah.
Me. It's everybody's asking when is she coming to finish the series. I
Really?
think
Okay, then that's my failure. Please forgive my.
what you started. I think you finished two. There's one more. I don't know.
There's Saraswati. I did.
Saraswati, exactly. Because when you said Saraswati, I remember, I think Saraswati is
Yeah,
something is pending.
I didn't finish Saraswati. Okay, then I'll finish. Just I'll finish. I've been pretty arrogant, so sorry.
It's not been arrogant. It's just that now is the time. I think Saraswati wants you to finish it. That's why the word Saraswati came.
Okay, yes.
Anyway,
You're
let's
one of my
ask.
Dr. Kaiji is our teacher. We on Mrigashira, we have to honor. We all met through Dr. Paiji's Nakshatra class. I was doing Nakshatras for years, as Dr. Paiji knows before. I mean, it was something, and then I saw him on Kapil's channel and went, "Oh my God, this is really refreshing."
But I would say I've learned so much from you guys. So I think I have to be grateful. When I listen to your lectures, I'm like a student. I feel so. Even Aditya, he says it was textbooks, but I want to listen to what Aditya says because that is what exactly you want to go as per. And if you want to learn, then you have to go with what Aditya is teaching.
Yeah, that's one thing, Dr. Pai. Like one Aditya. Aditya, can you show that picture again, the constellation picture again? I think one point I want to forget. There's this in Harry Potter series. There is a Bellatrix witch, right? In the 5, 6, 7, and all that you find is Bellatrix. Apparently, there's an actual Bellatrix star in that thing. I go to that constellation picture. The thing. What is interesting about is that apparently the Bellatrix star. I think Aldebaran is Rohini. What is Bellatrix, Aditya? What is that usually? Do you know?
Bellatrix, I know the star. I need to find out.
Yeah,
Let
so
me.
between basically,
Okay.
yeah. So this
Yeah,
Bellatrix
just
star,
hold on here.
yeah.
While you're
Just show
finding
that.
that, guys, before we close Mrigashira, at least I just wanted to remember to promote the Rattlesnake Conservancy.
Yeah, go ahead, EG. Yeah, please
Is
do.
that
Yeah.
okay? Is
Yeah,
that
please do. Yeah. Yeah.
is people may not know this, but I'm advocate of wildlife, meaning I don't go do activism and all that, but there's little groups that are starting to recognize the importance of serpents and snakes, especially because people just kill them. They're terrified of them. Anyone who's in the habit of killing snakes, because we're on Mrigashira, I just want to beg you from my heart to reconsider. They're very important. Their venom's important. I won't use this video for this. I might actually make separate videos for this. Okay, so they actually even pollinate. People just don't recognize their value on many levels, and we let fear get the best of us with many. This is why wolves was the next thing I was going to do. So wolves also, people just shoot them. They're terrified of them.
Yeah, wolves, you should talk on
Ardra, so I will. So,
yeah.
but I'm just saying that,
So
yeah.
is there a website or something?
So Rattlesnake Conservancy. There's other websites though. There's even people that are rescuing all kinds of poisonous snakes specifically, and a lot of the non-poisonous snakes that mimic poisonous snakes to survive. So there's like a bull snake in Texas, for instance, that will act and behave like a rattlesnake because it wants to scare you, but it's not poisonous. And people will just kill it out of fear. On my Facebook, I have the Rattlesnake Conservancy that I went to. So
Yeah, that's great, EG. I'm glad that at least you are speaking for the snakes and all that. I think if people can donate toward the snake causes and all that, I think it's a great remedy for not just Mrigashira, just to improve your wealth and all that. To be frank, I think I didn't know. I wasn't aware that the snakes were pollinating things. Makes fascinating thing observation from that perspective. So, yeah, thank you, EG, for sharing that. I think it's very necessary thing to be familiar because I'm like I said, I'm in Kerala snake killing is a pretty common thing here. You get to see the other side of it. Like being into Jyotish, you can see the real disaster that happens upon the families that kill snakes and all that. Pretty normal thing here. But I'm sure. I mean, I can only imagine the horrors which you're saying. But the moment I think rattlesnake is not a snake which rattles and all that, right? Is that
They
right?
try
If
to
I'm
warn you. Yeah, they try to warn you. They're actually respecting you. They're wanting it's biologically very expensive for them to bite you. They don't want to bite you. They have to reproduce that venom. It actually helps them with digestion. So it's not biologically intelligent for them to bite you. They have to be very threatened to bite you. We're just not educated with these things. So they actually really do not want to bite you. That's a whole reason they're rattling, and many
They said
snakes.
that they use venom for hunting. So they want that venom for their
Yes,
purpose,
they
for hunting.
want that. And they have better eyesight than people recognize. They're really miraculous. They regenerate their venom, the glands. They can actually regenerate teeth. I mean, they're just they're really almost like magical creatures that are living with us. So we just don't, our fear gets the best of it. Fear gets the best of us with so many things. Even, just basic things. So I do understand people protecting themselves and their family. I'm not morally sitting on some high horse. My heart is literally breaking from just the amount of destruction that we're doing with, these kind of animals. We're really uneducated with them, and then we unnecessarily cause a lot of pain. Same thing with tigers. They kill them for medicine. They do all this stuff. They just ruthlessly kill these animals for everything's for sale now. I think we need to get stronger and recognize that there's some things we can't sell. Some things you can never get back. Once it's
right. Well, that,
never get it back.
yes, this is very important point, Gigi. I think if people start donating towards those causes and all that differently, that will improve things. So, I would highly encourage that. One point I want to say was that this Bellatrix is at least the name of which if who are as I mean, of course, the name of a star here, but Bellatrix was the name of which in Harry Potter series actually. So I think that's fascinating. But Bellatrix is an interesting thing here because that is sometimes I've seen this link with the Mrigashira Nakshatra. And what is fascinating about Bellatrix is that apparently this was a wealth star. That's what they would say. In fact, it was considered that if you would meditate upon the star, you could actually become rich. You could actually make money. That's what they would say, actually. So I think it was also called as Capella, something like that. Capella Bellatrix is called similar. Not a Capella, but Capella was the name, if you're not mistaken. Something like that is going on. So there's an actual, so there's a wealth energy there, which is fascinating. And if you look at the hunter or ends, it's a hand also, which is like third house kind of themes, which is also coming up there. Betelgeuse the next star, which is Arda anyway, which you look into, and Bellatrix is there actually. So I want to highlight the wealth aspect here. So sometimes Aditya mentioned that they are Naths and all that, lords and all that. So I've seen that to be very true. That's also one thing I want to say. And especially if you are not a Nath, if you don't have money or whatnot, meditate upon this thing. You'll be amazed at what kind of results you can get. So I've seen that also giving great results. Something I want to highlight because Aditya had showed this one point I want to mention, which I forgot also. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay,
it's
any
a
good?
female serpent also, correct? So serpent energies are always associated with wealth.
Yeah, right.
Second house.
Yeah, that's right. Second
So
house,
it's
third house. Yeah. Third house also above bound second house, right? So that's interesting. Yeah.
Also, the
The
understanding that resources they can easily run out, they can be corrupted. I mean, you see what I mean? I mean, it's a poisonous element to serpents, right? If you're connecting this to wealth, to recognize there's two sides to that, right?
yeah.
This side,
Well,
when you think about it that way, it's interesting. There's definitely a
yeah.
poison side to that.
Right. So wealth is of course Marika also, right? Second house is Marika also. Wealth is
Exactly.
also interesting.
Marker.
so many movies have been made on Nagins,
Yeah,
in
that's
body.
there's a whole TV show like Netflix and all. If you search for White Snake and Chinese, you'll see a lot of Chinese White Snake TV shows out there. So the Nagins and the White Snake thing, you can find out a lot. We talk about, yeah. Legend of the White Snake, snake things, Nagins, definitely. Kerala and all that, once in a while you'll get a Naga Kanya show. It's a pretty normal thing,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even on the topic of Ashlesha, you have Lakshman, Balaram, you have these big figures that are born. I mean, it's Sheshnag's nakshatra, it's Patanjali's nakshatra. You know, it's even Agastya Muni's nakshatra. So I think, you know, the whole stigma around this stuff, I've heard before. Now, I don't know how true this is. I've heard before that Mrigashira and Rohini are the earthly serpents, the serpents of this earth. And Ashlesha, Uttarabhadra are the Nagas of Nagalok.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing because I believe there was one Chinese legend about two serpentine energies, which apparently gave them the knowledge of weaving and net making. This is also something which was mentioned as a Shakti. So, like the weaving, of course, quite often I've seen these natives are excellent in weaving. They are good at clothes, handling clothes, stuff like
Okay.
that. Yeah, that kind of karma. The karma for donating a sari to a temple maybe, or that kind of normal variation, you see that. But the interesting thing also is that apparently the knowledge in the Chinese philosophy, apparently the legend comes that the net making thing also, like making your own traps, even that also apparently came from one of the serpentine deities. There was also apparently, I believe the Sri Aurobindo's, the mother of that Aurobindo link, apparently shared that Chinese apparently had a history where and they mated with a naga or something like that kind of thing. So something like that was going on. I mean that was what she was telling. But yeah, that was fascinating. Um, the earthly serpent I think makes sense from that perspective because if they share that earthly knowledge, wisdom to the earthly people, there, that could be interesting. You mentioned the Sheshnag and what was the other Ananda was the divine serpent, is that right?
Yeah, it's Ashlesha is considered Sheshnag's nakshatra, so he's born through this, like Lakshman, Balaram, Patanjali, and then Uttarabhadra is also considered one of the Naga nakshatras. Now, that one is linked to the Ahirbundya Samhita, which is technically the Sudarshan chakra worship. So that one actually is very interesting to contemplate. So it's something for, I feel, seekers, people who want to look at Jyotish in a deeper way, not just for mundane prediction. If you want to look at it to help yourself get out of prison, because really all we're looking at with Jyotish is the karmic architecture. You're looking at your prison. Your next life, you'll have a new prison. You won't even have the same nakshatra. It's your prison. You know, if you want to break out, maybe there's some secrets here.
No, that's great. I
Bollywood
think
linked, guys.
I think
Yeah,
this
until the
that
Bollywood.
yeah,
Should
definitely that like
we
yeah.
give the for the Parashara conference? Should we say?
Oh,
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, you know what? Let me share that quickly. I think I had one slide just to do that.
Oh,
So the
okay.
Parashara thing, I was doing the Vishnu Sahasranama slokas actually. So one research I was doing was that of sharing the Vishnu Sahasranama slokas for different nakshatras. So you can see here the Vishnu Sahasranama sloka for Mrigashira Padavan is Upendro Vamana Pramshir Moga Shujirujita Adindra Sangro Sargo, Dhritatma Niyamo Yama. Upendra, one who appeared as younger brother of Indra. Vamana, one a dwarf form. Pramshu, one who's big. Amoga, one whose acts are never purposeless. Shuji, one who's pure. Urjita, one who's endowed with good strength. Adindra, one who's lord of Indra. Fascinating. Samgra, he was easily reached. Sarga is the creator himself. Dhritatma, supporter of Jivatmas. Niyama, controller. Yama, the ruler. This is Mrigashira Padavan Vishnu Ashtama Sloka. Next sloka, if you look, is Vedyo Vaidya Sada Yogi Viraha Madhava Madhu Adindriyo Mahamayo Mahotsaho Mahabala. So Vedya, he can be realized, Vaidya the knower of Vidya, Sada Yogi using constant yogic meditation, Viraha the slayer of wicked, Madhava the propounder of the knowledge of the Supreme Being, Madhu one who is like honey to his devotees, Adindriya he was beyond the range of the sense organs, Mahamaya he one who is possessed of wonderful power and enchantment, Mahotsaha the one who is of great enthusiasm, Mahabala, one of the immeasurable strength. Mahabuddhir Mahavidyo. Okay. Mahabuddhir Mahaviryo Mahashaktir Mahadhyudhi. Dudi, Anirdesho Apu, Shriman Nameyatma Mahadradrak. That is the Mrigashira Paratri Shloka. Mahabudhira, ye of infinite knowledge. Mahavira, ye of great virility and strength. Mahashakti of immense power. Mahadhyudi, ye of great splendor. Anirdesho Apu, he who possesses an indescribable body. Shriman possesses of beauty. Ameyatma, he of incomprehensible nature. Mahadradrak, the bearer of great mountain. Then finally the shloka you have Maheshwara, Maheshwaro, Maheshwaso, Mahibarta, Srinivasa Salangari, Aniruddha Surananda, Govindo Godambari. Maheshwaso, the discharge of great arrows and the wielder of bows. Mahibarta, the bearer of earth. Srinivasa, the he in whom Lakshmi resides. Salangari, the ultimate god of all spiritual seekers. Aniruddha, one who cannot be obstructed by anyone. Swarananda, one who gives delight to the gods. Govinda, one who's praised by the gods, Godampati, the protector of those who knows the Vedas. So very fascinating Vishnu Sahasranama slokas here actually. Of course, the Parshara conference thing is that I'll be kind of doing this particular sloka analysis for just look at what planets and is the sloka capable of giving prediction, and you'll be surprised that it can. I already, if you carefully look at the themes which you discussed, many of the themes are already matching. Virility, yogic thing, and all that. Definitely, you could see all that particular aspect. Definitely, so interesting thing. So at least the Parshara, upcoming Parshara conference, I think the thing I'll be presenting is this particular sloka, and just look at if you know Vishnu Sahasranamas, can you make predictions, right? So you can do that. So that kind of thing is basically what I'll be doing. I think Aditya and Dr. Pai is also presenting, and UG students are also presenting, right? Aditya, go ahead, yeah.
Actually, I wanted to say that there's some lovely students. Please, do check them out. I won't be doing conferences. I really want to support them. Yeah, so they'll be there.
I will be doing on synastry, like to understand how different charts, like how if you bring two individuals with these charts, just by looking at charts, can you say something on their relationships, how they are going to interact, whether they are going to fight, whether they are going to look supportive to each other, whether one will be providing some laddus to each other, maybe. So how with charts you can tell about people's nature and whether they'll be positive. I won't say negative, positive is a different connotation, but something like that. I think my time has been shifted. I think I was going to talk on a different time. He must have put a new time. I did not check, but I'm going before Sandeep. Sandeep, when are you going to talk on
I'm not
Saturday
sure
or
on Monday or something like that. I don't know. Saturday or
Saturday or
Monday, Sunday evening or something. I don't know.
something? So I don't even know what day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I think I'm going to talk first, and then immediately after that, it is Sandeep's talk schedule, and then Dr. Pai is going to talk too on the next day, I guess. So yeah, over to
Yeah,
Dr.
I think I'll be speaking mostly on some practical applications of Panchanga. Somehow, that has been my next favorite topic that I've been working on the last year or so, or even more. But you would be astonished by just knowing the Panchanga of a particular person. You can really say a lot of things about that personality types and other things, attributes. Many events of their life can also be predicted by just knowing the Panchanga. So that is probably a forgotten side of Panchang that we probably need to see, because we have only looked at Panchang for muhurtas and other things, but we can use that practically in Jyotish, practical applications in our interpretations. So that is what I'll be speaking.
Okay, that's great. So any concluding words then, Dr. Pai, Aditya, Yuji, any concluding words to Mrigashira or before we end the video?
Almost 4 hours, little less than 4 hours, 3 hour 50 minutes, keeping a
Great.
count on.
My brothers, thank you for inviting me back. Thank you. I just wanted to thank everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Great,
Searching
great.
star. People, we were searching for you, and then you appeared. So Mrigashira, searching star.
The idiots over here running away. Thank you. Thank you, really.
So yeah, I think we can wrap up then if there's no more comments, but we had a wonderful session. So thanks to all of you guys to come and participate. Really grateful. and we should be doing more of these. Probably at a, I don't know whether we'll take another how many more years to finish
Oh yeah,
the
I think
pending.
Chris, I won't.
Can-
Like you guys have to remind me about Bauji, my teacher. I pushed myself out of
You can tell about Tara Vidya too.
so we have the Taravidya
oh,
website.
guys,
We'll be
yes, yes,
potentially
yes.
launching
Thank
future
you.
courses or whatnot, all that, yeah.
So, Dr. Paiji, if you want to put my website, it's just evaofastrology.com again. They
Sure,
can
I'll put that link.
they can also find Tara Vidya on my website, and they can find you us on Facebook too. So I've got us.
Sure.
We're going to be doing things again, guys. So it is a commitment from me to carry out what my teacher said in the first place and not run away. But yeah, evaofastrology.com, you can find it. It's taravidya.org.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can find us, and we'll be
I'll
posting.
put those in our description. I'll
Yeah,
put both
I think
so
around
people can find.
spring or so, I'll be ready to start classes again with you guys. So I think everyone should
Sure,
go ahead and subscribe.
sure.
Great.
And I think you can put this video up there as well.
Yeah,
This
Oh yeah.
video that you.
this
Yeah.
will be the first one. I'll post it. So next
Yeah.
days, people will have it there.
We can put all our past videos.
Yeah, so probably the Taravidya will be like a
Yeah.
total, all the pie team videos will come there and all that, so it'll be interesting. So we'll just keep it like
Hollywood.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. So, well, thank you, everyone. Again, I think this has been a long session. Good to be back again. Good to, thanks to Mrigashira, deities and all that. So, thanks CUG, thanks Aditya, thanks Dr. Pai. Great. Namaste. Namaste.
Thank
Thank
you.
you to the viewers also.
Okay. Om Namah Shivaya.